Hey everybody, how's it going tonight? Looks like it's gonna be a light night. Saturday's always kind of low anyway. Let me see if I can get over here and get this thing pinned. I always forget where it's at. Y'all just be patient. Well. I always forget where that little tab is. Got a commercial already? I called myself knowing what to do this time. I don't know if this is the right one or not. That look like the right link, y'all? It might be and it might not be. Must have been the right link, huh? I need to write notes down. I was always bad about that in school. When I was taking dictation, I'd get the first 3 words and I'd have to go on to the next sentence.
That's the reason I went ahead and popped on, Joey, so you know.
Well, are you having to feed like a lot of the other ones are doing?
I am. I'm feeding my starters. I haven't started feeding my production hives yet. I've still got last treatment Apiguard on them. I'm not going to treat till I get the Apiguard off of there. So I figured next week sometime I'll pull, if they got them pretty well cleaned up, I'll pull those tabs. They've been on there since the 15th, I think. 15th when I put them on, I believe.
Yeah.
On my production hives, the last treatment.
I was actually, we did a talk, me and Mike did. I let him do most of the talking and I just kind of interjected. But we did a talk Thursday on feeding because that's what we figured we'd be doing around here. And since we planned that, I had to fill this bottling tank up. Not fill it up, but I'd bottle enough. I had to put about 9 gallons in it. And when those 2 buckets emptied, I went and set them out back. All day, there ain't been a bee on them.
You know, I put out a
nothing but love bugs.
Yeah, I put out. I call them robbing stations. I put out some open feeding and poured some 1-to-1 in it on top of some wheat straw this afternoon, and I did it about 11 o'clock this morning. I checked it a little later on, probably 4:30 this evening, and there wasn't a bee around it. So they're not. But my bees are still bringing in a lot of pollen. You know, I don't know if we're getting any nectar. It's drier than, as the old saying goes, as a popcorn. You know what? But up here, but it's you know, time will tell.
Yep. I've got a lot of pollen coming in that I go out and look at them every day and I see it coming in there. But this little hive right here by my front door, a single brood box, they just pouring it in.
Yeah. And well, like I said, last year we had lots of pollen out of the fall asters and the goldenrod and stuff, but didn't have hardly any nectar. So I don't know. I haven't actually been in the hives deep. You know, I've got I'm feeding them buckets on top, gallon buckets. So I haven't been in them. I'm gonna. Once I start feeding them production hives, I'll go through everything and see, you know, what kind of shape my frames are in, see if I got some nectar. I know I've got one little hive I'm probably going to have to combine or just scattered out because I can tell it's getting weaker by the day. So.
I think I found another little hive dying out, one of my long hives. I mowed in the yard today and it's real skimpy looking. But that was one of the swarms I caught this year, and it just never did take off right.
Yeah.
If I wasn't so busy with everything else, I probably would have requeened it, but
yeah,
I don't fight them no more. You either going to make it or you ain't. You know, pretty much
that's
the way it is. I'll help you
along. After you get to pretty much the number of hives that you're satisfied with, you know, I'm like you. I used to fight them, but I don't anymore. I'll help them as best I can, but it comes to the point that there's only so much you can do for them. After that, you might as well give up and let them go on down the road, scatter them out on the ground or combine them with something, and they ain't going to make it on their own.
Yeah. Well, I rode up to my son's store. He's about 30 minutes away, kind of a little bit west northwest of me, not too far. I mean, it ain't all far at all, but up there, and that was Monday, I think it was, or Tuesday. And when I got close to his store, there was several fields there with goldenrod just going crazy in it. And I hadn't seen any around here, but 2 days ago, I made a trip to Franklinton, and it was popping up everywhere around here good. So that's probably where a lot of this pollen's coming from.
I've got three subspecies, I guess, the goldenrods around me here. I got an earlier one that I call it swamp goldenrod. I don't know specifically. And then there's what you call a grass leaf goldenrod that comes up next. And now my what's called the most prolific one in this area is what they call a tall goldenrod, and it's really bearing, but it's a dry. Here, some of the early bloomers on it are starting to kind of dry up. So we're supposed to get a rain tonight, but I don't know whether it's going to happen or not. This field that's in my background on my green screen behind me here, it's 7 miles from my bee yards. It's a property that I own, the river bottoms. I've got it in a CRP tree program. I was going up there to check these trees. I need to mow it again this year. That was after I mowed last year. And I started up there, and it's a dirt road into the river bottoms down to it. Lord, 7 miles north of me, they've had enough rain that the road was so muddy that I back out to the main road because it was just water standing every place, and the road was muddy. So I was going to tear the road up. So I'll go back another day. Excuse me. I'm highly allergic to corn dust, and all the local grain farmers, I call them sodbusters. All the local grain farmers are shelling this corn. It's got me about tore up with my allergies.
Your buddy's talking about you there. You see that?
Yeah. It's nice to be loved.
I'm trying to tap on everybody that said, hey.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people here needs to come in.
Yeah.
See a bunch of them need to come in and help us out. Let's see. There's another one. Yep. That's what we was just talking about. I saw it good about 30 minutes away from me, a little west-northwest, and now that was a few days ago, and now it's coming in here. And it's probably, I'm going to say right here in my area, it's almost 2 weeks earlier than it normally is.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Jeff Harchoff was talking about that. If it comes in early, is it going to leave early too?
It's kind of funny how that those fall asters and the goldenrod works. It blooms earlier up north, Yeah. I guess because the winter comes earlier up that way and then works the way south. That's against the laws of nature. It's supposed to be earlier in the south, and later up north. It is what it is.
I didn't know they did commercials on lives until it was over with or whatever. I guess if you're late coming in, you get it, huh?
I didn't pick it up. Roy was talking about it, or Russell one. I don't forget which one it was up there now. Them northern boys, they get them, probably them car commercial. Maybe it was a car commercial. They make all those cars up there in Michigan, in that area.
Detroit.
Yeah.
Well,
Via, I imagine Via will be on here for you in a minute. He'd be politicking about something he gets done eating.
Yeah. I didn't even look see how many we had on here now. 33.
I didn't know you had that many friends, Joy.
I didn't either. I guess I got more friends on here than I do here at home.
Yeah.
There's Tar Heel. I didn't see his name earlier.
Hey, Randy.
I hope I hadn't missed nobody. I'm just tagging on any of the names I see coming in instead of trying to say hey to everybody. I miss you. Just say hey again, and I'll pop it up there. Well, I had something weird happen with me this week. I put a short out yesterday evening around 3 or 4 o'clock. This short was already in another video that was approved, and there's somebody. There's Roy. Come on in. But this video was approved already, and I posted a short on it. How's it going? And it took off and was getting views and everything. And I went to a ball game about 6 o'clock, and I didn't get home. It went into overtime. I didn't get home till 10:30. And when I got home, I had got an email from them that my video had been flagged and removed. He left. I don't know why he left. But it was kind of weird.
It was on YouTube?
Yeah, it was the part in one of my videos when I was moving the queen excluder a couple videos back, and where I was stomping those hive beetles that was hung up in it. I said, I'm gonna go ahead and make a short out of that thing, and I did, and I posted it, and it, like I said, it was taken off. And when I got back, they had removed it, said it wasn't eligible for monetization, and I was reading on the status, and it said it wasn't a strike against me, but it was a warning, and I needed to take a training, and I could also take the training and appeal it or do nothing. And anyway, I watched the training. It was almost like state Louisiana training. I went through it and answered every one of them but one right. And I got to re-answer it, and come to find out there was 2 right answers there. So I had to mark both of them and finished it and went on to the appeal. When I clicked on that I wanted to appeal it, it just went on to YouTube. It didn't even give me any area to put any kind of rebuttal in there. And what it was about and what was going on there. And I got up this morning and said appeal was denied, and repeated that it was only a warning, and if I didn't get any other warning in 90 days, that would go away, and I wouldn't have a strike.
Yeah, you probably got reported to the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to hive beetles or something.
But I wanted to tell them, any beekeeping video you watch of me, you're going to see me killing hive beetles, and all of a sudden you decided to take this one out. There's another one right there popped in on me, and I didn't even see. Wasn't paying attention. Nope, that wasn't it. There he is. But yeah, I thought it was weird. Now, I mean, if they have an issue with it, I'm good with it. It's their YouTube. It ain't mine. But if you ain't going to let me at least explain, I ain't going to mess with you. I'm just going to keep posting until you flag me again. But every one of us that does a video has killed hive beetles. But it said, I ought to go read it. It said something about it was violent. It was a violent media or something like that.
Violence, yeah.
Yeah. That could have been raised. But all I wanted to do was tell them, if I could do a rebuttal, was just tell them that this was basically a parasite that kills honeybees, or weakens them.
Yeah. He's probably some computer geek and never seen a live bug. And lived in downtown LA that never seen a live bug before.
I figured some little I'm not gonna be careful calling them the names, but I figured somebody on there that let me just say, somebody that didn't know any better got on there and said that I was being mean. They might have thought I was killing bees. See, you don't know.
Yeah. And folks don't realize how hard you work trying to keep them little bugs in the box alive sometimes, do they?
Well, what's crazy, the video it came from is still up there.
Yeah.
Now, the only part that I can see that fits more in their community guidelines is in the main video, you kind of know the content of what's going on there. Why I'm killing them, because I'm crushing them in the video.
Sure.
And but anyway, I guess that was the part that I actually broke. But they said violent, I guess if I started the short, said warning, it probably would still be up there today.
Yeah. You condone it.
Oh, could be. I never thought about that. I guess next time I kill hive beetles, I'm just going to walk away from the camera. I'll be back. What's up?
Howdy.
Don't come on here laughing.
Look at my hair. Oh my gosh, that's bad.
Holy cow, Joey, look at her hair. It's a mess.
Everybody turn away.
I can't believe such a clean cut guy like you would let a gal like her on here.
Oh my word, that's a mess.
He put you on the big screen.
I
too.
know. This is everybody turn away. No. That's a mess. Goodness gracious.
What's new, Mr. Joey?
I don't know. That's about all I had.
That's it, huh?
Holy cow.
Yeah.
You're keeping some poor company on here, huh? He looks like a tennis player with a hat.
That's my backup handyman right there.
Somebody's got to come on and help him out, and everybody else is bashful.
Yeah. So what's new? What's new tonight, fellas?
Just same old, same old.
Not much. I don't know if y'all come in after we was talking about it, but I'm starting to see goldenrod down here.
Oh, really? Just now?
It's
huh?
about. Yep. I'll just go ahead and repeat what I said. I wrote to my son. This store is about 30 minutes away, west-northwest of me. And when I got within just a few miles of his store, I saw goldenrod popping everywhere. Didn't see it here. And that was like Monday or Tuesday. And yesterday, you could see it all over the place here. And I know something's coming in because I put some buckets with honey in it that I just poured in the bottling tank. I put it out yesterday and there ain't a bee one around it. Nothing but love bugs wrapped it up.
Oh boy.
So I had this thing out. Me and Mike did talk about feeding. I don't know if I need to make any syrup right now. I'll go around looking at everything, but I'll probably wait till the flow slows down.
Yeah. Hey, I would say if you don't have to feed, you got something coming in, don't feed, right?
Yep, that's what I say. Come back and see us, Greg. What y'all doing?
Oh, not too much. Melissa's been kind of twisted up here the last day or so. Her back and her hips.
She looked twisted. She was untwisting when we
Yes. No, my back did some snack crackling and popping the other day, and I woke up yesterday morning like barely able to walk. It was more of a shuffle, and so I was able to see somebody about it today, so I can move a little bit better. Still not 100%, but I wasn't moving anywhere yesterday.
No, she was moving like
Well,
90
that's what
feet.
happens when you get to be a great grandma.
That's what I looked like. I looked like a great grandma trying to move yesterday.
He said that based upon what I was texting him earlier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Me and the boys were picking on her a little bit yesterday when she was walking around here like she was 95 years old. We couldn't help ourselves.
Locked up, folks.
Yep.
That didn't come through, whatever you said. It locked up.
Oh,
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah. We got
Yeah,
me and the boys, and that was it.
The boys and I, when she started walking around here like she was 95 years old and barely shuffling her feet, we couldn't help but to make fun of her a little bit. So we were picking on her a little bit, but I got her to the chiropractor today, and it seemed to be a little bit better.
Yeah, we'll see if it holds. Our neighbor actually has an inversion table. I was gonna have one of the boys go next door and steal it.
Yeah.
No, we'll just put it in the driveway and hang you on it from the driveway. I can't trust these people I live with.
Is that one of the things that hangs you upside down?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My oldest son's got one, and I got on that thing, and it didn't take long. I didn't even have to go all the way over, and all the little bit of blood I had went in my head, every bit of it.
You know, my son's got one. He lives right out there with my apiaries, and he swears by them. They do him, and a lot of folks do. I can get on one. I've got serious back issues and have had for years. I can get on one, and it's just like sticking me in a torture chamber. It just like tearing my back in two when I
Really?
and I've got ruptured disc in my lower back. So I guess that's the reason.
Yeah. What's a SI belt, Todd?
Oh, yeah.
So I have like a TENS unit, and I use that a lot. So my hips get out of place all the time. So I'm always at the chiropractor, but it's never been this bad, that I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
So
She called me at work the other day, JW, and she was bothering me with that stuff. I was trying to make some money, and she says, "What time are you going to be home?" Now, keep in mind, I have been landscaping now for 24 years. Melissa is not a needy person, just in case anybody on here doesn't know our dynamic. Melissa is not needy whatsoever. She never has been, ever since I met her when I was a senior in high school. She was a sophomore. And that works really well for me because I'm not an overly nurturing person just by nature. Okay. But she, in the springtime, I work a lot of hours. I mean, I try not to work 7 days a week, but 6 days a week, sometimes from sun up till sundown, just trying to stay on top of work. And she never calls once I get hyper focused on something, I just continue to go at it until I just am finished or something else breaks my attention, but we just go at it. And so she never, ever, hardly ever calls me to say, "Hey, when are you going to be home?" You know, this, that, or the other. She does her own thing and I do mine. And she called the other day and said, "Hey, what time are you going to be home?" And I'm like, "What's up with that?" You know? And so it was kind of interesting when she said that her back was all messed up. And I didn't think it was that bad, but when I got home and she was literally barely shuffling, I had to pick her up like you're picking up your great-great-grandmother out of bed or something. I knew it was pretty dramatic. So here we are.
Yep.
When I was younger, I used to be able to do that and not even think about anything. Hang upside down.
Oh yeah.
Used to hook them swings. I'll take the swing sets and hang them up high and hang on them things upside down and swing.
Gunline says the SI belt again.
I'm looking it up right now.
I don't know what an SI belt is either.
Just another contraption for Tom to make fun of me. He already makes fun of me when I leave the house when my hips are out of whack because I have my TENS unit, I have my iPad, I have my phone, I have my water, I have this, I have that. He's like, "How many things do you need to leave the house?"
She comes with a whole mess of stuff with her.
A snack,
whole 9 yards.
That's when mine used to go out so badly. I've crawled out of the cattle yard many a time and crawled up in the vehicle and got to the chiropractic office and crawled into his office. You know, I couldn't even stand up.
I was impressed I was able to get and take a shower before he took me to go see the chiropractor today. So I was like, fairly impressed with myself just for that. Sarah, I have to have snacks because somebody doesn't like to stop to eat.
Did you hear that, JW?
And
did you hear what she said?
And then I get hangry.
That's why. That's why I have to stop.
Yeah. It's good. My wife if I don't show up for at least, 3 days, you might start looking, checking where I might be. About
3
the fourth
days. Huh?
day, if I didn't come home. Just before she started the celebration, if I didn't show up permanently.
She's probably calling the insurance company, making sure the life insurance is all paid up and everything's good.
Well, and so this for my back or hips or whatever to go out right now is not the opportune time either, because we have 3 markets this weekend that we have to prep for, or not this weekend, but next weekend that we have to prep for this week. And then we're supposed to go out of town the following week.
Don't tell JW.
Don't tell JW we're going out of town though.
I already know you're going to Florida. That's no big
Yeah,
deal.
we are. But
I already told him.
but we've got a busy
Again.
next 2 weeks. I got
Again.
Again, still.
So this one was planned.
all that.
The visit,
all that.
the visit to Melanie and Dennis was not planned. That was last minute
It was.
road trip, not planned whatsoever.
It was a good time though.
This trip was a planned, scheduled trip. So
Yeah, that's what happens on those things is they're never planned. You just plunk your magic twinkler and you end up there, right?
Mm-hmm. I
Huh?
don't know what to say. But JW, that was a business trip.
Hear you.
Hey.
I hear that.
you worked, bees.
I did.
Mhm.
Dennis and I did a couple days. It's a good
Speaking
time.
of, let's talk bees just a little bit. I got 2 questions. Where do you guys keep your?
Hold on. Look at this. Brian, sleep number bed. I've been trying to get Tom to buy me a sleep number bed for years.
The one she wants is like $10,000.
That's not that much.
Okay,
But
$9,000.
Brian seconds my
It's $9,000. You know what I can get with $9,000? A lot.
That's a lot of lottery tickets.
That's a lot of lottery tickets.
You can get 3 billy goats and a bobtail meal for $9,000.
I mean, I can get that. I mean, shoot, all kinds of stuff I can get for that.
She's a little bit too high maintenance, Tom. I might trade her off for.
All right, back to your story, JW.
Yep. She interrupted you.
2 questions. What's everybody running their heated bodily tanks on for the long term? What temperature does everyone run them on?
We keep
I try
ours
to
around.
stay at 90.
Yep, we keep ours between like 90 and 95 ish.
Yeah, that's about what people
90,
talk about it.
yeah.
I've never noticed my honey getting any darker,
So the only honey that we noticed what that got darker being in the bottling tank, and really super thick was that bourbon barrel honey. Once we got to the very end of it, well, I know you have your opinions on that honey.
And you're wrong, by the way, just so you know.
But that's the only honey that we've ever had darken in the bottling tanks that was kept in there over a longer period of time. And I mean, and that honey wasn't even in there that long, maybe a few months at the most.
Yeah, we don't usually. I try not to leave it in there very long.
So, and that might be because of the bourbon that was not added, but that it had absorbed. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't just plain honey. I like this. Hashtag Melissa needs
Melissa
a sleep
needs a
number
sleep
bed.
Stop it, Sarah. You guys quit. Just quit. Let's get back to bees. Yeah. Good one, Brian. Yeah. Derailed like a 5-year-old kid.
Brian, you said you were selling hats now?
He is. He's got some pretty cool designs on them too.
But yeah, so we keep our tanks at between 90 and 95.
Yeah,
Pretty
mine's
much
95 right now.
Yeah.
That's a
That's
happy
about
number.
where I keep mine. But like I said, I've some folks was that chat last night on Charlie that they talked about the honey getting darker. But I keep my honey. I add to it as time goes on. I store it in plastic, but I don't bottle up ahead of time. I just bottle as needed. I don't like a lot of
Yeah.
No bottles sitting around. So I
Same here.
So we did that like our very first year because you're so excited to get that first honey, right? We bottled all of it, and it was a mistake because then we had to uncrystallize a bunch of honey in bottles that didn't sell right away. So after that, we got our first bottling tank, and we just bottle as needed now, so we don't have to uncrystallize stuff.
Yeah, that's
I
probably
don't
on
have
the same truck.
Excuse me, Joey. Go ahead.
That's all right. I was just joking with that. I said it's probably on the same truck as the dishwasher.
Call Hannah. Yeah.
But since I've got this tank I have here now, y'all can't even see that. Where's it at? That one. I used to have that old plastic tank up there. That was my bottling tank, and I had a warmer on it, and I tried to keep it around the same temperature, but I had to keep that thing set on 110 to keep the honey around 95. But for whatever reason, that honey would get darker in that thing than it has in this bottling tank. I don't know why.
Interesting.
It might have been the honey. It could have been the honey. I don't know.
Yeah. Is that just a plastic bucket up there, Joey, that you used to keep it in?
That is a 15-gallon drum.
Okay.
It had a Phillips got it now. It had a regular bottling valve, but y'all can see it that up on top of that Coke machine.
Yeah.
That's a 15-gallon drum warmer.
So I have a question, like going along with the honey buckets and the warmers and stuff. So we keep all of our honey in 5-gallon food grade buckets to store, and then as needed, we'll use like the bucket warmer around it to decrystallize it just enough to get it to where we can dump it into the bottling tank, and then let the bottling tank uncrystallize the rest of it. Yeah. Have you ever put the the warming blanket around your buckets and noticed a ton of condensation like on the top of the lid, and then there's like a layer of water on top of the honey too? It
would do it on that. You can take that lid off and it'd be like rain if you shook it.
Yeah.
That was kind of a good thing. You could actually get moisture out of honey with that thing if you picked it up careful and dumped it.
Yeah.
I was worried about it fermenting the honey, starting to ferment the honey with all that moisture on the top, because then that's making the top layer of that honey have a higher moisture content, right? So I was just worried, if it's going to start making that honey ferment.
I store my honey in 5-gallon buckets, but believe it or not, I have never had any honey crystallize in a bucket, nor have I had any crystallize in a bottle in less than a year.
Really?
I don't know. It's all my forage here locally, or what the reason is, but I've got a neighbor. He's up the road about probably 20 miles. He has a lot of crystallization problem, but he also has a lot of buckwheat foraging. He plants buckwheat frisbees. They say it's highly susceptible to crystallizing, but I've never had any ever crystallize in a bucket or in a bottle within a year. I've had some crystallized that was over a year old.
See, the stuff that we harvested last year, our light honey would crystallize within 2 weeks, like start getting that cloudy, start to crystallize within 2 weeks. But the dark stuff, I don't think that kept I don't know that the dark stuff ever crystallized, did it?
It would start to just a little bit. It was very, very subtle.
But that light stuff was like almost within a couple of weeks starting to crystallize.
Roy, yes, you need to shut off your YouTube side once you. You're muted, Joey.
I think you might have said what I said. You don't have to turn the YouTube off; just turn the sound off the YouTube side.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian said something on here. He ruined a batch of hot honey. It's fermented. Don't know what to do with it. Can you find somebody to use it for mead? That's the only thing that I'm aware of that you could do with fermented honey, unless somebody else
Where's
has
that
different
one at?
ideas. Brian, Flower Street. There you go. Melissa and I have never made mead.
Do you make soaps? Do you put honey in your soap?
But would you put fermented honey in there?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It would have an odor, though, would it not?
Well,
The odor is going to change with the soap and the fragrances that you use. It probably wouldn't affect it.
Yeah, Brian makes
Now,
soaps.
I don't know if it would do like regular honey, but when regular honey, if you got a bucket that starts fermenting and you catch it, you can actually warm it up enough to get that alcohol to burn off,
Yeah.
evaporate out, and get rid of most of that fermentation. Then you may be able to just recrystallize it or sell it for just liquid hot honey.
Yeah.
Well, now that I reread it, it says hot
That's
honey.
what I would try.
Soap.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could try that. That would be a good,
Yep.
you know. It's already ruined at this point. What, you know, you might as well
Yeah.
experiment with it.
Still
Absolutely.
use it for cooking honey and stuff.
Sure. Yeah, because that would cook the alcohol content out of it too, correct?
Yeah.
If you heated it up. Habanero soap.
I know.
Hey, my mind goes some places when you said habanero soap. I'm thinking to myself, you're washing the sensitive areas. This is the most PR way I can describe this, okay? You're washing the most sensitive areas of your body with a hot soap. Please, somebody do that and then come on to Joey's chat and tell us how that worked out.
Brian, I'll have Tom sample
No,
it
you
for you.
won't. You will not.
You
have
won't
me
even
try it.
know about it.
Brian sent me a couple bars of his soap. Brian, I actually used both of them. He had, I can't remember the first one. I think it was the second
Lavender. One was lavender.
What was it? No, that's the second one I used.
I don't remember what the
Did
other
you
one
use that one too?
Yeah, but I don't remember what it was.
Okay, the second one I used, which was lavender, had a really great scent to it. I actually kind of, believe it or not, I actually like the smell of lavender. Whenever I'm drying some of my clothes, I use that on there actually. And then I can't remember the other one that Brian sent us, but we actually used both of those bars, and his soap, it was pretty nice.
Now he's got to go back to using the soap I make.
No. Melissa's been making soap now for the last couple of years, and since she started making her own soap, I have never went to a store-bought bar. Even when we go out of town, I pack in my bag some of the soap, and I take it with me wherever we're going. So we haven't used store-bought soap in, I don't know, at least a couple of years.
Yeah.
So
I didn't even see Melanie come in.
I didn't either.
yeah.
Yeah, Miss Melody, they said they didn't have any honey ever crystallized either, but I won't say never, but almost never. And Sarah was talking. Sarah and her
He answered that question.
baker's honey stuff. I'm no cook whatsoever. I think my mama used to make all of her own bread and stuff, and I think she wanted the honey a little bit fermented. You know, my parents always had bees or kept bees. My dad did, and she wanted a little bit of fermented honey. Used it in her bacon in some manner, if I remember correctly, but I won't swear to that.
Interesting. Habanero and lavender soap. I'll never know. I will know now, Todd.
Fermented garlic honey is popular.
Brian, which one did you try? You tried that. I kind of said two things, didn't I? What was it I said? One of them was liquefy it, heating it up.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I also said try to put it back, let it go back to crystallize. I guess all of the above. I don't know what to do with it then.
So Darren says fermented garlic honey is popular. That's interesting. Brian and I and Melissa were on the phone here for probably, I don't even know.
5 minutes. Right, Brian? 5 minutes.
Well,
that's what he said. 5 minutes.
It's basically 5 minutes. Brian kept the conversation going.
It was like 5 minutes times 6.
I was just kind of hanging in there. But we were talking all about all that good stuff.
I think he's got diarrhea of the mouth, don't you, Melissa? No?
I would agree. I would agree.
Hey, you like that hip in one spot, lady?
That's what I've always heard, Sarah. The overheated honey is usually baker's honey.
Yeah, yeah.
So our club had some honey there was a bunch of
Our
equipment that was donated, and the gentleman who actually used to be the board president for a period of time, he was getting out of beekeeping entirely, and he donated all of his equipment, bees, and even the honey that was on the hives at the time. So last year we brought it back to my house and extracted everything, and the honey itself tasted real. It was hard to describe.
It was like a woodsy, minty.
Yeah, kind of a woodsy taste. It was just kind of
It was not good honey.
Yeah, it just wasn't a great tasting honey, you know? And so we all tasted it like, this is not really great, you know? And so what we ended up doing is we ended up as a club sold it to a local baker, and she bought everything out of for a reasonable cost, more of a wholesale cost really, but luckily for the most part, I think our honey that we harvest has a very, very good flavor and taste to it.
Glad he's home, DC.
So am I the only person out here that's starting to feed some? You other folks say no one else is feeding besides me?
I started to feed a little bit here after my treatments were done, but I've been focused a little bit more here on some of my other work here lately, but I do need to get back and doing that. And when I went to use my skid steer the other day, I couldn't get the thing to turn on. So I'm not sure. I don't know what the deal was with it. So, and that's what I used to load my tank up with. So that stalled me out a little bit. I need to get back this next week and see what the issue is. Probably something simple, but figure out what's going on with it so I can get that tank loaded back up and get it and just keep feeding.
You do have a battery in it, do you not?
I think he forgot to turn the key.
No, there's no key. It's a keypad.
No.
When I pushed the
Shows
button,
how much I've used that piece of equipment.
well, I wouldn't let her use my skid steer. It'd be totaled out in about 5 minutes.
I'll sell it and get my bed.
You would, yeah. Probably not a great idea.
Now, see, looks like most of the northern folks are feeding.
Yeah.
I'm semi-northern, I guess. I don't know. It depends on where you originate from.
You're Midwest. We're kind of in that purgatory spot.
Purgatory.
Vertigo. I'm in vertigo land.
You are, huh?
Don't know up from down.
You guys are.
Especially when it comes to honeybees.
On Charlie's Live, y'all were talking about the pumps and the tanks and all that kind of stuff.
JW was.
I'm just feeding my starter hives. I'm going through 10 pounds a day on my starter hives, which I've got about, I think, 28 of them.
Are you going to overwinter those and then keep those as production colonies next year, or sell those, or what's your plan?
No, I'm just going to add them into production next year. Slowly, I may get rid of. I don't very seldom ever sell any bees. I give several of them away to people starting out and so forth. I got an Amish boy that's been coming by, really a nice young man. And he's a Mennonite actually, which they drive. The difference between the old order Amish and the Mennonites is the old order Amish still use the horse and buggies. The Mennonites use automobiles to get around and so forth. And I'll probably give him 6, 8, 9 hive, 10, maybe. I don't know if he wants them. Get started. I need his eyes. For inspections and for
A lot of people feed.
Looks like your eyeballs are hanging down around your neck there.
Yeah, well, that's my up close. 3 foot out, I've got, believe it or not, I spent a lot of money on my eyes and had lenses put in them for long distance. 3 foot out, I got 20/20 plus. So my eye doctor says, but up close, I have to use 3 par Wally Whirls.
Oh yeah.
That's what my doctor told me when I had lenses put in several years ago. He said, but you won't be able to see close up. You have to use glasses. I said, well, I have to do that anyway. But he didn't explain. He didn't really explain that right.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally different from what I was having to do before. But
Yeah.
sometimes I wonder if I hadn't have done that. I tell you how long it's been. I started bees in 2015. I think somewhere around 2014 or maybe prior to that, I had that surgery. But before that, I had to wear either glasses to see out there because I was nearsighted. I had to have my glasses or my contacts, and I've wore contacts all my life till I had that surgery. But I could see, well, there's nothing small enough here. I could see anything. I could read the back of a watch without any glasses on. You couldn't make the print too small. I could read it. People used to bring stuff to me to read it for them. I miss that. And now I wonder if I hadn't ever had that surgery, I could see in the cells better.
Yeah.
I always wondered that.
I don't know. I never had glasses or anything till I was 76. And then when I started going downhill, it was from cataracts. When I had the cataracts taken off, so when I had the long range lens, I call them long range lenses because I wanted to see. I was more worried about seeing far away. I said, I don't mind buying some cheap poly worlds to see up close, but I want to be able to see what's going on in the world outside.
Yeah. JW, have you gotten any of that rain that was coming across the Midwest, or is it had
It's been a joke too.
Yeah.
It gets over here about 50 miles of it seem like to the west, and it's solid. And as it comes from that last 50 miles to where I'm located, Peter's out, gone.
It does the same thing. It does the same thing too when it comes at us. It splits going around us a lot of times or dries up.
Well, I'll tell you the reason for that, folks. I figured that out.
Uh-oh.
When they pass that, you go to church on Sunday, when they pass that plate, if you start dropping in the top instead of thumping the bottom as that plate goes by, that rain will start. That rain will start getting a little more regular.
I'm just curious how you know about thumping on the bottom of that plate.
Because I do it. I'm not getting any rain either.
Well, you may start being a little more honest with God then, huh?
Yeah.
Russell had some.
Yeah,
weather.
Brian C says 98. Our heat index was 107 here, supposedly, according to my weather deal on
It's been hot.
my phone.
Where are you at, J&D's bees and honey?
He definitely was up north somewhere.
Well, Russell Koopman had some weather at his market today.
Yeah.
Hail, rain, wind. I hope you had some heavy weights down on your tent.
Yeah, I seen your picture that you posted, Russell, of your setup that you had earlier. I commented to that.
I had noticed that. Wyoming, JD.
Yeah. Wyoming.
Jack and that, isn't it? It is.
Yeah,
Is that
that's what I was
one?
going to say.
What? They
Changed
had
their
me messed up there.
Oh, that's Jack and Danae?
They
Yeah.
they abbreviated it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, didn't recognize it. Holy cow. Good to know.
They're changing up on us.
That's right.
I'm too easy to trick. Don't be doing that.
Hey, you and me both. You know, it's kind of funny is whenever we all in the early spring, we start the guys that are down south, like Joey and all you all. And then you start talking about how you're warmer weather, the bees are brooding up, you're getting into swarm season, and we're all just kind of holding steady here. And then things kind of start migrating north as the temperatures start to climb going north. And then now the end of the season is just happening just quite the opposite, where everybody up north is starting to talk about how they're starting to see maybe a frost or some cooler temperatures, and we're still kind of holding steady, and it's kind of starting to drop back down, through the states.
Yep. That's what I was telling Joey earlier while you was conversing with Mr. Brian out in Colorado. You know, their season starts earlier with their flow, and then in the fall, on the fall asters and the goldenrod, it starts in the north and works its way south. You know, it's
Yeah.
just the opposite.
Yeah, I never thought about it like that, but I guess that's how it works. I think we started to see some goldenrod blooming a week and a half ago, maybe. I don't think it was 2 weeks ago. I want to say a week and a half ago is when I noticed it.
No, it was probably 2 weeks ago because that mailbox, they were on that mailbox.
That wasn't 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't. No, we can. No, it wasn't.
2 weeks.
No. So, JW, do you have to feed your colonies quite a bit to get them to the weight you're wanting, or are they most of them fairly close?
Basically, what I very seldom ever have to feed my production. You know, my production hives, Tom, is what I'm actually feeding is to try to get built up is what I call my starter hives, which are splits and nukes and stuff that I haven't taken any honey off of them this year. You know.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about feeding, and I'm like I said, I've got 28 of those, and they're going through, and that's because I'm holding them back a little bit. They would take more. I'm going through 10 pounds a day. They would take more than that if I'd give it to them.
Yeah. Hey, so Matt at Sandy Valley. Hey, listen, I got your message you left me the other day. I guess it was, let's see, today's Saturday. I guess it was yesterday. I'll reach back out to you. Probably not until Monday. I've got kind of a busy weekend, and I had a landscaping project last week, Wednesday through Friday, that kept me pretty tied up and pretty busy. And then we picked up a bunch of beekeeping equipment from buying out somebody's operation that we were picking up and trying to go through and stuff. So if you happen to need anything, let me know. I've got a whole bunch of bee equipment boxes, small extractor bottles. I got probably 2,500 bottles I'm going to get rid of, and a whole bunch of stuff. But anyway, saying that I'll get back to you here on Monday, but I got your message here. So I'll reach back out to you. I actually liked your page today too, as a matter of fact. So, but we'll definitely touch base and connect and maybe work in the future toward things too. So Matt there is not too far from us, JW, or closer to me than you, I guess, but he's down in Hillsboro, a little bit south of where I'm at.
Oh, you're talking about Hillsboro, Missouri, not Illinois.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys have over in Illinois. That place is foreign to me.
Well, that's where the good guys are. That's what they call the sunny side. The dirty side's over there in Missouri. The sunny side's in Illinois.
I don't know. I don't think East St. Louis, which is actually in Illinois, is very clean. So you're trying to sell to the wrong fella.
What can I say?
That's all right, JW. We'll take you and most of the southern half of Illinois. You guys are all right. We'll keep you. You good?
I've never tasted that mango butter.
No.
Hey, I thought I seen in the future outlook, and who knows how promising this will be, but there's another storm that might be trying to make its way coming down through. Oh shoot, I forget now where it was at. Down south, coming up through the potentially coming up through the Gulf. It looked like it was still a little ways out, but I seen a little bit of a little chatter about that.
If they think it's going to come in the Gulf, they always try to bring that line close to Louisiana. They always do.
Do they?
Weathermen.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of the center.
They're probably thumping the bottom of the plate down there too, Tom. That's the reason.
Probably. It looked like they were trying to form somewhere out of like near, I don't know, Cancun or something like that. It was going to loop its way around and come up in there. I mean, it's pretty broad, and they can they're not all that great at predicting weather, in my opinion, anyway. But didn't know if you all heard any more chatter about that, since you all just recently had a storm kind of come through your area.
I've got where I don't even watch the weather. I really don't. Matter of fact, I'd get on my app when I used to want to go work in the bee yard or pulling honey.
Mhm.
My app would tell me it wasn't going to rain. My wife's app would tell her it's going to rain. We're in the same house. So I just planned on going ahead and do what I got to do and see what happens, you know.
Yep. That's right. Yeah.
Well,
If I
really
planned
believe it.
work around what they're saying is going to happen, half the time you wouldn't work, right?
Yeah. True.
Hey, Joey, do you ever do any markets, like sell any of your products at any markets, or how do you?
There's one market right here in Franklinton, the little town next to me. I've been wanting to do that, but it's usually on Saturdays. Sometimes on Fridays they'll have some out there, but
Yeah.
Is Franklinton where
in the heat, I just don't want to go sit out there in that heat and do anything, you know.
Yeah.
And I just can't get my timing right with it. So the answer is no.
I
Now,
got
if my
you.
wife would do it, I would help her get set up and do it every weekend. Let her do it, but she wants
Yeah.
to. But her health just don't let her do much.
Yeah. What did you ask me?
Is Franklinton where that club meeting was that we went to?
Okay, Melissa wants to know, is Franklinton where you all have your club meeting at that we went to last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I see it. Takes you about 2 minutes to get through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it was a nice little town, though.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Have you ever been to that market that's there in town? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, not set up, but just been through it.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been through it. They've got
Do they have a lot
somebody
of
there that's
traction?
always selling seafood, fish and seafood and everything. Got another one that actually got a what am I trying to think of? The makeup and everything that ladies buy. What you call it?
Cosmetics.
The cosmetics?
Yeah. I can't even think of the name of that brand now, but they're there out
Avon?
every weekend. Avon, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I only know that brand because that's the one I use.
Yeah. But I don't know how that thing works, because some Saturdays I go through there, there'd be about 4 or 5 people set up, and then the next Saturday or whatever I go through there and the place will be full. And I don't know if they have special deals or something occasionally, or how that works.
You talk about the markets, my little farm market. I sold 36 pounds this week. Never seen any of my customers.
That's awesome. I mean, ideally, from a, maybe not face-to-face contact, but I mean, from a standpoint of not having to have any FaceTime for what you're making. I mean, that's pretty good. You just put it out there and they're buying. It's probably the Mennonites.
It's my lockbox security system. I've got a 3-pound coffee can for my lockbox for payments. So far I'm ahead of what I've sold. People don't take their change. I've got a sign right there, change in the coffee can. They don't take their change.
Maybe they're just glad to get it.
It's like $15 or $12 or something, and they got I guess a 10 and a 5. They don't take the 3 or. I've actually got more money than what I've had showing for, bottles and believe it or not, I sell a lot more. I sell a lot more jarred honey, quarts and pints, and I'm selling in the bottles, the 2 pounds in the 1 box. 1 pound box.
So what type of
One of
bottles
the
do you use?
stores.
That was for you, JW, that question.
I think I was talking over you. Go ahead.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead, Joey.
No, go ahead and ask him.
Oh, so JW, what type of bottles are you using?
Mason jars and
Oh, okay.
and just the plastic. The ones with the little honeycomb designs on them. You know, I
Okay.
forget the company. I get them they come out of Kansas.
The plastic or the glass
He said plastic.
with the honeycomb?
Well, I got the 1 pound and the 2 pound in the bottles. You know, and I've got a few 12 ounces, but they don't sell at all. I can't hardly give them away.
Huh.
Wow. Interesting.
I've been thinking about getting few 2 pound bottles. Not a
Mhm.
whole bunch of them, just a few of them.
Hey, I just came into.
a lot of them.
I just got about 2,000 pound and a half bottles. I make a deal. You got any money, JW?
No.
Then never mind. I'm not going to talk to you. Does your wife have it? All the money? Then is that what that is?
Well, if I got any, she must have it because it's not my pocket.
Hey, put her on. I want to talk to her.
I've got her silenced. She's in silence mode.
Is she anything like this
watching the boob tube on the other room.
Gotcha.
So, Roy, they getting the eggs free when they buy the honey?
Sounds like a good deal to me.
I
Eggs around
The
here,
eggs are expensive in my part of the
know.
area.
$3.50 to $4 a dozen out here for farm it for fresh eggs.
Yeah, fresh ones.
Back when I
threw
used to
down
have chickens, I tell everybody, they said, "Where you been?" I said, "Oh, I went to the feed store and bought some chicken feed and stopped at the store and got a dozen eggs while I was in town."
Yeah.
I always tease Tom that we're gonna get chickens next. Like we aren't getting any chickens, and his saving grace was always chickens were in our subdivision bylaws. You couldn't have chickens, but now the state of Missouri has just changed to where HOAs can't keep you from having chickens anymore. So like, hey, we can get chickens now. He's like, we're not getting chickens.
That's cool.
I don't
I
mind the
just go
chicken.
down part of a chicken house today. My granddaughter had chickens.
I
here
think
in the-
everybody ought to be required to have chickens.
My granddaughter had a few. She outgrew them. She outgrew the chickens, so we kind of got stuck with them. And to go down to one, fox got to pick them off one at a time, the red foxes. Got down to one, and my son gave it away and tore down back half of the chicken. The confined chicken area and finished up this afternoon. In fact, we hauled it off out the farm. I'm going to burn it.
No, you won't, Brian. If you send them here, they're going to get, well, I don't know if I should say it on YouTube. We might enjoy them.
You heard Joey's redaction on his killing the hive beetles on his little post, didn't you? So be careful about killing chickens. Lord, they really come down on us.
I know, right?
Down for sure.
You got to watch out for those keywords they get all triggered by. It's not the same place you grew up in, JW.
Hey, Grammy. Brian at Flower Street was telling us you're going to have a booth at Navi this year. So that's kind of cool.
And Lisa?
Are you selling some baby pacifiers, Granny? Robbie, you going to be selling baby pacifiers, are you? They going to be part of your booth?
Why? Are you interested in one?
I could use one at times, yes.
You know what? I used to like guineas. I don't know now. They just kind of get on my nerves.
Yeah, I like them, but I can't even keep them around.
They good watchdogs.
Is that what
they are.
People at the top of the hill have, the guineas?
Yeah.
I've got so many critters around my main farm areas where I've got all my bees that I can't even keep guineas. I brought 20 last year and they didn't last 2 weeks. You know, guineas, most of them roost in trees and stuff. I was you know. I bought some just to see if I could keep them out there at the farm, the main farm. I could keep them. Critters
Yeah,
get them immediately.
There's a house
Who-
at the top of our
What gets
subdivision.
them?
There's a
Critters
house.
of some kind, owls, bobcats,
Oh.
coons, everything's after them.
Yeah. There's a house at the top of our subdivision that's not actually part of our subdivision that has guineas, and they just let them free range throughout the subdivision. So they're always in everybody's yard.
My
Yeah, I think one of the
My
dogs got a
mom-
little.
my cousin lives right behind my mom, and he's got chickens. He's kind of like I do. He keeps his chickens wings clipped and keeps them in the pen. But he leaves his roosters wings alone and lets them go wherever they want to. And one of them, every day, almost all day, he's over at my mom's house. He just keeps making rounds around there. He's got little spurs about a half-inch long. He's starting to get where he tries to get after you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I like
she used
fresh
to feed
eggs.
him why he comes around.
You just can't keep them unless you keep them confined around here. We just got so many
Yeah.
critters.
People don't realize just how much a coon
No,
destroys things on the farm, man. They just don't realize it. They will destroy a chicken house in a heartbeat.
or anything else they can get in with their manure.
Yeah.
They're nasty creatures. I mean, of course, people think the coons because they don't. The reason they wet everything that they eat is because they don't have saliva glands. They have to wet it to swallow it. People think that's how neat they are till you get some around.
Yeah.
That's
Watch them and see
interesting.
what they'll dip
JW.
it in any kind of water. They'll dip it in any kind of water. It don't matter what it is, just to wet it.
Yep.
I didn't know that. That's interesting. I learned something new today.
Yeah.
Oh, you hang around me, you get all kinds of knowledgeable information.
All right. Well, you know what? I just got one gold nugget from you. Hit me with another one. We'll see if I can digest it.
Well, that's a fact on that, but they are nasty critters. I've got some of my tops of some of my enclosed areas and some of my old cattle barns where I don't have cattle in now. There's coon manure on top of like a closed-in feed room that you got where they got coons can get in there. There'd be coon manure 6 inches deep on top of there. Coons are nasty.
Yeah. Well, they're kind of scavengers. So, hey, Joey, there's a guy in here. His name's Matt, Sandy Valley Honey Company. He had left a couple comments in here. Matt's pretty new. He actually just started putting videos out on YouTube, and I think I know he had one he just put out. It might have been a second one. I might be mistaken, but people should go over and like his channel. He seemed like he's really starting to take off a little bit. Yeah, Matt at Sandy Valley Honey Company. He's in Hillsboro, Missouri, which is a little bit south of where I'm at. Not too far, maybe 45 minutes or so. But he's really working on his operation. He's I guess he said he's only his second year, but he's really grown and taken off pretty quickly. It seemed like he's got some pretty good education under his belt too. I was listening to his video here this morning, first thing when I woke up. So he could be somebody else that everybody might want to follow along here on YouTube.
That's why I couldn't get your attention while I was trapped in the recliner.
Yeah, she was out here hollering, and because she slept out in the recliner last night because of her back and stuff like that. So I had the whole bed to myself, and I heard her out here stirring around. So I just had to turn the volume up a little bit. She's out here making a racket.
If I can find it. It's Matt at Sandy. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
is that the name of the channel?
Yeah, Matt at no, it's Sandy Valley Honey Company. That's just his handle on here. So it's Sandy Valley Honey Company. At least I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Let me look.
Yeah, I found it. Let's see.
Is that what it is, Matt? At
I don't know.
Matt
Tim
at
is in the still.
Yeah, I found him. Let's see if I can share it. Share channel. I'm a lot slower at this as Lee is.
That's okay.
That didn't put that in there. It didn't copy it like it's supposed to. Let me try that again. It still had that other thing in there.
You got this.
All right.
You still got the StreamYard. That's your StreamYard too.
Yeah, I copied it and it didn't copy it. Let me try it one more time. Close it out because I thought I had it.
Now, Matt, since you got a couple some subscribers on there now, you better start putting out some more good some more videos and some good content, bud. No pressure there.
No doubt, no pressure. Since we're so good at putting out regular videos, right?
Well, if we put somebody else puts out videos, it distracts them from us.
Oh, is that how it works?
Yeah.
There you go. I think Danae got it on there for you.
Okay, I was just about to click it.
Yep.
There you go. Thank you.
I hate these people that's computer literate, don't you, Joy?
No, I'm kind of glad to have them around.
Holy sure comes in handy every now and then, does he not?
Look, my supervisor, I was the maintenance director for several years, and the guy that was my boss, I always liked him from day one when I went to work there. He was in security. He went back to college and got a degree in computer science and stuff. And that's what his job was in the military too. And he's unbelievable. That dude, he wrote code for every program we had at that prison.
Wow.
And we was talking to, I won't tell the whole story, but we was talking to a vendor that came out to bid on some computer operated equipment. And he said that it's basically unhackable. And I laughed and I pointed at my boss. He was standing there. He's a lot younger than me. And the guy said, you computer literate? And he said, I know a little bit about it. He said, you think you can break in? He said, give me 5 minutes. All he needed was 5 minutes. But, he had that degree on that. And then there's no telling what the military taught him on top of that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he probably had access to some pretty good training.
I never took but one computer class in my life, and I flunked it.
See you later, Randy.
Did you take any typing classes, JW?
I did. In fact, yes. I'll tell you a story about my typing class experience in private. I can't put it out. We will get Joey shut down if I tell you about my typing class in high school.
All right.
You just
When
have to remind me to tell you.
I took 1 year of typing, and that school had just started purchasing some electric typewriters. And I thought I got lucky because I got an electric typewriter. They only had enough for like half the class, and the other half had to do the manuals. And I won. I got the electric typewriter for half the year, the first semester. And I learned how to type on that thing a little bit, and then I had to get rid of it, give it up. second semester and go to the manual, and that was like going from a tractor to a hoe in a garden.
Too much like work.
That was tough.
Hey, JW, that picture that's behind you,
Mhm.
are those a bunch of uniformly planted trees? Or am
Yeah.
I seeing something?
Yeah.
What's that
I
all
got them
about?
on, that's some CRP. They got tree programs. They pay you to take it out of production. That's river bottoms ground.
Oh, I
I've
see.
got them grilled in there on 10-foot centers, so I can
What do
mow
they-
in between them. Keep the. If you look there to would be my right.
Mhm.
No, the other way.
Yep.
That way.
Yeah.
That tree line. And that's all. Senior moment. Give me a minute. That's all an invasive tree species, and they come up all over the place when you leave ground fallow in the bottoms.
Yeah.
And so I actually grilled this in on 10-foot center so I can mow in between the trees. You know, I planted. It's all full of different species of oaks and cypress. That's what I planted in there. There's about 40 acres there, and there's 10,600 trees in that 40 acres right there.
So if that tree species is an invasive one that grows down there, why are they growing it? Why don't they use something else?
They don't grow them. They come up volunteer.
Oh, okay.
It's
I
river
thought you were
bottoms.
saying
They come in there. It comes in there. The seed washes in there, and then
Brad,
it's
That's what pops up.
it's not an invasive. It's cottonwood's what it is, and then that cottonwood blows every place, and it just takes. If you leave river bottom ground lay fallow, that cottonwood will take it. There'll be one grow up for every 3 inches.
Do you all see a lot of sycamores growing along the riverbanks as well?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Kind of
But they're
trashy
not-
trees.
They don't spread like the cottonwood does, because that cottonwood's got that little fuzzy tree. They call it cottonwood.
Oh yeah. Yeah, when that stuff blows around, it'll be like snow on the ground around them.
Mm-hmm.
All those seed pod or seed pieces.
But
Brad needs to come in here too. Tell us what he's doing down mid South Louisiana.
Hey, what was that festival? What was that that car show thing that just happened?
Here,
Yeah. What was it called?
Jimmy Smooth.
Yeah, Brian asked about some of the wacky festivals that might happen in everyone's areas, toward the later fall. There's one that we just had, which was kind of an odd one. We've never participated in it.
Rat Ride Festival.
It has rat rods. It's called Jimmy Smooth's. I don't remember the specific name of it.
Creepin' Show.
Creep and Show. We were thinking about potentially signing up for that as vendors and going down there, but
This is the second year they had.
my sister-in-law had participated in it. She said there was an odd crowd that was down there, and she didn't seem like she did that well with it. So she's not in honey, but we decided to opt out of not participating in that one.
You know who has a bunch of weird festivals? Jamie and Brandy.
Oh yeah, they had one recently called the Possum something or other.
Possum Fest.
Possum Fest. Yeah,
They're in Kentucky
Mhm.
somewhere.
Middle Kentucky.
Yeah, they're always having these weird festivals, it seems like.
What about you, JW? Are you close enough to civilization to have any of that?
We've got real life Sasquatches where I'm at. I see 2 or 3 about every day.
What? Do you have any pictures?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
You
Put 'em
know
up.
you can, huh? You know they come from outer space. Now let's go into this. They come from outer space.
Hey, Joey, you're muted again.
And
I said they all blurry. All the
Yeah.
pictures of Sasquatch is blurry.
That's
Yeah.
right.
that's what I was
They're all
saying.
camouflage with all kinds of trees and
Them
foliage.
suckers come from the 3rd dimension, and when you get a camera close to them, it just automatically blurs out the camera. But there's lots of them out there. I can tell you, I've seen several of them this week.
Oh, I bet.
Mm.
Was it anything like the fish that you caught?
Is that bourbon honey does it, I think.
Yeah, right. How would you know? You don't eat any of it.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Brian said that JW rehomed 15 Sasquatches this year. Kept eating his cat food.
Well, I had some almost big as Sasquatches. they loaded up on my cat food.
I bet you've been feeding them well.
Uh,
Whenever you took them out of there, were they all meowing?
they went to see this picture right behind me.
Yep.
Them trees, them green trees right back there. I dumped every one in 30. Well, there was 35 of them. I dumped right there.
Check out Russell Koopman's festival that he has near his house.
What's that? I don't see him. Oh,
Bobbin
Bobber Brewery Festival. Wow, that's a tongue twister.
I had to read that one 3 times.
I know, right?
See, Darren has a potato festival, a garlic festival, and an apple butter festival.
Hey, so I have a question. That's something that I've been thinking about myself, and I've mentioned to Melissa a couple of times. Does anybody in here on the chat, do they perform any small scale pollination? Like, I'll give you, for example, what my thought was. I really don't want to be, I don't have no aspirations to be migratory, but I thought it'd be kind of cool, and I'd have to research a little bit more, and maybe it won't be quite so cool once I research it. But we have a handful of apple orchards that are smaller operations that are semi near where we were at. I didn't know if, and I was going to try to reach out to some of these guys and just cold call them, but I thought it might be kind of neat to, on a real small scale, do some small pollination on like apple trees or some fruit trees or something that might be in around our area, because there are a handful of apple orchards around.
I've got a nephew, Tom, in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
He's out in western Oklahoma around Woodward, if you want to look that area up. He actually lives at a little old burg called Buffalo, and he's got all of his bees. He buys old travel trailer frames, and puts floors on them. He's got all of his hives are all mounted on trailers where he can just hook onto them and move them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He's retired. He makes a real good supplemental income. All he does is cutouts and pollination. Plus, he sells his honey at farmers markets.
And how many colonies does he have? Did you say?
About 70.
Okay.
But I think he moves them around to different fields, for some of the farmers and ranchers out there, and that's what he does. That's the way he forages all of his bees and gets paid for it.
Yeah.
So that kind of reminds me of it. Hive Life, not Nabi, but Hive Life the previous year.
Mm-hmm.
That guy who had that trailer in the vendor area and had all the hives on it. Which kind of reminded me of like maybe the way they do like AZ hives, but just using Langstroth hives instead.
Well, you get over there in the Middle East, well, that's the way a lot of those folks keep their hives in buildings, and the whole buildings are open to the outside hives, beehives.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Now, I do know a couple of people that have hives on their trailer. One guy started because one of the places he liked to put bees was in lowland, and
where can move them quickly.
If we had, and he actually he lost a lot of hives, so he bought I think it was actually like a small RV trailer that was destroyed, and he stripped it off and just decked that trailer and put beehives on it.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, that would be awesome because you wouldn't have to have a lot of manpower or machinery to move them. You just hook up the trailer and, screen them up early morning before the sun comes up, and just, or travel them overnight, go pick them up after the sun drops and take them back to wherever you want to take them. You don't have to screen them
He
like that.
moves them up to 100 miles or so from his residence, you know, he tells me. And he's actually my oldest sister's son. He's my nephew, but he's like 67, 68. He's retired now, and that's what he does it. And all he does is mess with the hay. I mean, he's got a little old kind of a homestead, a rural farm,
Mm-hmm.
and a few cows and stuff, but his supplemental income
Yeah.
is pollination and cutouts. He does a lot of, he'll average 1 or 2 cutouts a week, almost year round out there.
Now,
Wow.
what does he move? What does he pollinate most of the time?
Various things, whatever, whether that be clover or whether that be alfalfa. He's in the kind of in the Oklahoma Panhandle. It'd be northwest of Oklahoma City, about 200 mile probably.
Yeah.
He'd be going out the direction. He'd be going out the direction toward Brian, actually.
But that's what he does. But he's pretty handy with a welder and a cutting torch and so forth. And he'll go around and get these old travel trailers and make a cheap wooden bed on them. He mounts all these beehives on those, and where he can just back up to them, hook on, and move them from place to place.
I think it's a great idea.
When the flow runs out in one field of a certain type, well, he'll pull them someplace else. He's been at it long enough. He's got several people that know he does that, and they'll call him when they, you know, they've got specific. There's a guy here in my area. He's pretty well known. His name's Charles Linder. He's real active in the commercial beekeeping. What is that? Where they have the down in New Orleans? What is the name of that?
Mardi Gras?
After Cayman's. Pardon me.
The ABF, American
ABF,
Beekeeping.
yeah, American Bee Federation or whatever it is. He's kind of a big wig in that. His name's Charles Linder.
Yeah, you mentioned him to me the other day, actually, and we had a conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
He does it on. He actually sends. He's got about 5,000. He sends hives to California, and they actually, I didn't realize it. He sends them to Wisconsin for cranberry pollination, which I didn't realize that cranberries had to be pollinated, so to speak.
Interesting.
And then the melon areas over in the Big Wabash and Ohio River Valley, you know, where they raise a lot of the watermelon. In fact, Cayman had him on a video. If anybody happened to see it, was his main operation is down the road about 20 miles from where I live. His name's Charles Linder.
Mm-hmm.
But Cayman had a video out. Cayman was up there with him. They were doing in the melons over there in southern Indiana.
How long ago was that?
And his name's Charles Linder. But that's all he does is pollination. You see his hives sitting around this part of the country, a lot of fields and stuff.
Well, I don't want to do it on any kind of big scale. I just thought if I take a portion of my hives and use that as helping to supplement income, you know.
I think that would be an ideal situation. Or I like my nephew. I call him Chigger. So if I say Chigger, I'm not talking about that's what I've got. 2 nephews. I call one of them Skeeter and the other one Chigger. So
yeah,
if I'm talking to you about Chigger, he does quite well with them, and the way he's got it set up, he can get about 20 to 30 hives on the trailer.
Okay.
You know, he puts them on pallets and mounts them on a trailer.
Yeah. Yeah, my thought was taking anywhere from 50 to 100 hives and set them somewhere. Definitely no more than 100, but you know, maybe like that, 50 or 60 hives.
Yeah, you can take. I mean, I know you've got a flatbed truck too, or I think you do, but them trailer. I mean, you don't have to pick them up and move them around if you got them mounted on old trailers. And them old trailer, I think them old mobile home trailers are pretty easy to come by. And they got a long drawn out frame on them.
Yeah. Hey, Matt. So Matt said something about he has a local winery. So I know that generally speaking, and I thought about this like when we were out at, so Matt, there's a winery that's out 100 past Rosebud, Missouri called White Mule Winery. We like to go out there and have dinner every once in a while. And they have really good steaks. And the guy obviously has, I figured you'd get a kick out of that. He raises his own cattle too. And he's got pretty good meal that he does over the weekend on Friday and Saturday and Sundays. And we were out there just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a few weeks ago we were out there.
Posted a picture for JW.
Yeah, we posted a picture for JW. But I started looking into it. I know that grapes don't have to be pollinated, but I believe it helps with fruit production, if I'm not mistaken, if that's what I read correctly. But I just thought it'd be kind of cool to do on a really small scale in the springtime. If I could place bees at maybe a couple different spots, maybe apple, different kind of fruit trees or even blackberries.
Anything fruit wise is going to it'll enhance it. I don't know if the way you like to talk and promote. Surely you can go around these orchards.
Yeah.
Off your way in, even you could probably get it in even if they didn't want you.
All right.
Here's the thing, JW. People just get tired of listening, so they finally just roll over and agree.
Yeah.
There's like, maybe this will get him to stop talking. We'll just agree to what he wants.
Well, you would capitalize on it too, so you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting a little off subject there, but that's what he does, and I have a nephew that does that, and he does it quite successfully.
Well, I'll call you sometime to ask you a little bit more about it and find out some more details of what it is that he does.
I can give you his number when we talk privately, and you can talk to him about it. That'd be the thing to do.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I'd like to just understand it a little bit better, There's certain things I'd be, for instance, the questions I have is, like for apple trees, whenever the bloom is happening, are they spraying apple trees at that time for something?
I'm going to say what little agricultural knowledge I've got, which is very limited, is that the spraying would be done prior to they spray them to keep the insects from damaging the bloom, so they'll will produce.
Yeah. Well, I guess, I would just want to assess risk on it. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for answers to help understand it, to see if this is something that would be, that's worth it, because even though I think DC on here said something earlier about, putting a few just to trade for some fruit, I'm looking for monetary compensation, but, it's just a way to help further our, beekeeping operation, basically.
Fund our eating out addiction.
Yeah, it'll help fund our eating out addiction. JW, you get that, right?
I guess. I thought you did all that through these conferences that you were promoting and going to. I thought that too. An income.
That too.
But anyway, I don't think he does a lot of fruit trees, but he does a lot of field pollination for clovers, canola, alfalfa fields and stuff like that for the locals. That's kind of ranch country. So these guys got, he couldn't give you a lot of information, I don't think, on tree pollination, but he could on field pollination. And I think a lot of it is pure and simple wildflower pollination that people, has got big fields of flowers. There's a lot of set aside around the country anymore where the farmers lay out this ground and get paid to not produce it.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking if you're on a big enough acreage of a certain type of crop and the bees are on it, then you can almost certify that that's a specific type of honey, right?
Well,
a varietal.
I've got various feelings about this certified certain ever honey's a certain thing. The bees can cover a 5-mile radius. If you figure that up in acreage, that's several thousand acres.
Absolutely. No, you're not wrong.
And who knows whether, like in my country, there's a bean field, this one, and there's a clover field in the next one, and the next one's an alfalfa field, and they're all within a mile of your bees. Now, where's that pollen come from? Everybody direct them bees. Well, boys, go out
Yeah.
and line your bees up this morning and say, well, you go to the alfalfa field so I can sell alfalfa honey, or go over to my neighbor's apple orchard so I can sell
Just
apple
point the
blossom.
hive where you want them to go.
Yeah.
That's right. See?
That's all you got to do.
Yeah. See,
I
Joey's
will.
got it figured out.
People ask me where my honey comes from. I said, well, my honey comes from the bees, and they get it from wherever they decide to go.
Yeah.
You know, I call it
What's
most
up,
of it.
Charlie?
Hey,
If they want to pin you down, I call it. I say, well, one thing I can tell you is there's wallflower here, and there's clover here, and there's alfalfa here, and there's
Yeah.
canola, a little of that type of stuff. And I don't know where the bee. Honesty, I don't know where the honey comes from, but it sure is good.
Yeah.
I had somebody. Well, I get every year somebody asks me, "Did you make this honey?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure
yeah, I
did.
just made it today.
Hey, Joey, if that was the case, then you're making funny honey, right? And they're buying it.
Yeah. Charlie, I see you got a video out. I hadn't got a chance to watch it yet. You've been feeding?
yeah, it's just feeding and
Yeah.
working with or putting in Apis Biologic and how I mix it, and also I talk about how to keep it from degrading if you have a bag that's left over from one season to the next.
Yeah.
Just I don't know. I was out there today. I started Thursday. I put the feeders on and filled them, and then I got back out there this afternoon and we filled them all back up. And I had one hive that it took about half the amount of sugar water that I gave it, and the rest of them were all bone dry. So always kind of amazed me that some of these nukes have got a box of honey or more, but they still suck it down and put it in the hive.
Yeah, if they got room, they're gonna put it somewhere.
Well, we had a local meeting where Baltimore beekeeping, Lynn was, is ahead of it. And they were talking about, some of them still had supers on their hives. And yeah, there was some knotweed and stuff like that, which I don't have in my area. And, but I said, we only got a week from month of October, and some of the trees like the maples are starting to turn red right now. And it's like, you should have the supers off and let those bees, whatever that honey is, put it in their hives to get them through the winter time. And then you don't really have to feed them as much either. So I don't, anyway, that's what I'm doing. It's kind of one of them situations, paste in each frame is harvested. I don't know.
Where'd it go? I bumped the button.
But
There's
it's one of them things where everybody's different, what they're doing with their bees and stuff like that.
Yeah, I told them at the beginning that we actually getting goldenrod here now.
Yeah, I get it. We've had it for a couple of weeks here, but
Yeah.
we don't get any nectar out of it. I only get pollen.
I set 2 buckets out to let the bees clean it out, and they didn't touch it.
Mm-hmm. Well, because you got a flow of some sort coming in.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing today. I made another batch of sugar water and got that video out. It possibly could.
Yeah, I'll probably watch it tonight or in the morning.
So other than that, that's about it for me. We were kind of busy at the mill today and people coming in the morning. So other than that, hopefully it's going to rain. here for the next week.
That seems to be the main subject everyone you talk to. Everybody
Yeah.
needs rain, seems to.
Well, my son planted the 30 acres behind me there in grass seed today. So he said it had some volunteer wheat in there, grassy wheat, and I'll say it must have held some of the moisture. And so he said it was moisture it was a little bit wetter than what he thought. A crab festival? I'm not sure. Probably around some of the waterfronts, yeah. Hey, Mike.
And I think that's right, Miss Melanie. In the South, the goldenrod don't do as much as they do some of the northern areas. But I don't think I get very little nectar from goldenrod either here in the Midwest even.
Normally here we just get enough for the bees to kind of survive on, not enough to put away anything. Last year was the exception to the rule. They filled boxes. They filled their top box up last year.
I don't know. In past years, I'll say July and August. I'll say about 3 years ago, I used to get text from the inspector, and are you feeding your bees? And I'm like, yeah. Why? I just dropped, let's say, 80 gallons into them. And he said, well, I'm getting phone calls from the swim club across the road, where the bees are in the trash or whatever, or chlorine. And then I get a text, oh, thanks for doing everything. I don't, everything's better now. And I'm like, well, yeah, all the goldenrod started to bloom. Now they got something to do. So they might, like you say, Joe, they might have gotten a little bit of nectar source out of that, just enough to kind of keep them home, I'll say. All that stuff.
Yeah, last year, we were getting all kinds of calls from in town. There was a guy who had a snow cone stand in town. They're like, are there any beekeepers? Come get these bees. And people would tag us in this post all the time. I'm like, no, I messaged the guy directly. I'm like, it's not a swarm of bees. Those are just random bees coming to clean up your sugary syrup from your snow cone.
Yeah.
The only thing you can do is keep hosing down the tables in the parking lot and stuff. It's the middle of summer and you have sticky, sweet syrup. You're attracting every bee from everywhere. Nobody's going to be able to come get those.
My granddaughter worked at a snowball stand last year, the whole summer. And her being used to honeybees, she kind of had to help calm everybody else that worked there down.
Yeah.
So they're not going to bother you. Just don't worry about them,
Right.
Yeah.
But
I
every
think
time we pull up there to get a snowball, the bees were flying all over the place.
Yeah. Well, their problem was that it was like a trailer, right? So they didn't have running water that they could just turn a hose on and hose everything down every half hour or whatever. So well, you're kind of stuck there. I don't know what to tell you, because that's really your only solution at this time of year.
Yeah, it's I got the tank in the back of my pickup truck, and you'll spill a little bit of sugar water out of the hose when you're shutting it off, and it's dripping. And the next day the bees are out there at the truck, and they're all over it, sucking it down and cleaning it up, and give them an hour or two, and it's it's all dried up and gone. And then they're gone.
Yeah. Our garage, so you can always tell when there's a dearth, because if the honey's flowing, they're not paying attention to it. You can put a bucket of honey out there and they're not going to pay any attention to it whatsoever. And if the nectar's flowing, great. And then as soon as that shuts off, man, they'll be all over that honey. So I guess Tom pulled a super off. He must have forgotten he had a super somewhere, or it was in the garage. I don't know, something. He can finish the story when his mouth isn't full of ice cream. But we walked out in the garage the last 2 days, and there's bees everywhere. What? at first I think he thought it was that bourbon barrel was dripping honey, and come to find out it was a super that we both forgot about that was in the garage.
I had it covered, and I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why are the bees all in the last 2 days interested in that super? It was covered. There was something on the bottom and a cover on the top, and they couldn't get into it. And I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. And I went there and I looked at it because there's a bunch of bees on it. And I'm like, why is there honey dripping out at the bottom of it? I'm like, that's been sitting there for, I don't even know, a month or better. And then so I'm like, I'm interested. So I popped the top and looked in there, and I seen some wax moth cocoons. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Somehow, some way, something had gotten in there or laid in there. So I went in there to open it up and looked at it. There's still a lot of honey in there, but they had started to web it up. So I just took the super out and back in my backyard, and I set it on something. So there's probably, I don't know, 20 pounds of, at least 15 pounds of stored honey in there they can have. But
Yeah.
It damaged some of my comb, but whatever.
But because all those, we were leaving earlier to take me to the chiropractor, and we couldn't get the garage door to shut because all the bees coming in and out, they kept getting in the way of the sensor.
Kept kicking it back up.
So
they was really setting it off.
Yeah, they'll do that. Yeah, they'll block that sensor just enough when you're closing it. It senses something in there and it kicks right back up. And after I did it 3 times, I was kind of frustrated. So I went in there and grabbed the thing and pulled it and shut it down behind us, and we drove off.
That's what happened to you city folks. Got them bees in your backyard.
Do you have a garage door opener at your house, JW?
Yeah, but I don't have bees.
You don't have bees.
They don't have electric at JW's house yet.
Yeah. Oh, no electric there yet?
No electric yet.
Do you guys have inside plumbing?
What's that?
Do you? Yeah, that's what. I'm surprised you got this fancy gadget, this camera, and all that. You're pretty high tech.
Lee Quimby donated those to me. I don't have any money.
He doesn't have any money. He spent it all on his plane and his boat.
Yeah. Well, hey, then in that case, bring the plane over here. We'll go fly down to Florida this weekend.
Why?
Why not? Let's go fishing.
I don't ever land. You'll have to jump out.
Okay. We'll put the parachutes on, and Melissa's always wanted to skydive.
No, not at all.
That can be arranged.
I saw somebody trying to sell a parachute, only used once, never opened. Only used once, never opened.
Yeah. That's not good. That's probably a parachute you don't want to own, right? Excuse me.
He doesn't have any money. He's a beekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
We're all broke.
Yeah.
No, my cousin, when he turned 18, he went skydiving for the first time, and his that first parachute did not open. So, luckily they have that backup chute that opened up for him. But nope, that's enough reason. One example. That's all I need. Never to want to go skydiving.
Nope, you can have that much, that's for sure. I was over on Cayman's channel trying to figure out if he had any really updates on the on Nobby, but I don't think he really did at this point in time. But there was somebody over there that was really, I won't say bashing him, but cut the complaining about the price of the show over there, and it's like,
don't go if you don't.
Yeah.
If you don't like the price, don't go.
Well, then he was saying, I don't know, I didn't keep following it, but it was like, Cayman was trying to explain, well, speakers cost money, you mean they charge you, they should be coming and doing that for free. And
Right.
I'm like, what country are you from,
Yep. It's
like,
amazing to me that sometimes people don't think about that sort of stuff. I'm like, you just ask, I'm like, well, do you go into work for free? Because I'm pretty sure the answer would be no. So why can you ask somebody else to do that,
It wasn't Bob. It was some guy I've never recognized.
Well, and like even to complain about the price, that
Yeah.
price is, I mean, it's 2.5 days, of speakers and the vendor show. Plus, you get all of the
what is it,
speakers.
150 a person?
160,
165.
something like that.
I don't know. I
anyway,
got the
then
early
you get
bird,
all
whatever
of
that
the-
was.
Then you get all the speakers on demand. They're all their talks
On
on
the
demand.
CD and all. Yeah.
I would say this: if you have a problem with the price that it's being charged, you have two options. One, don't go. Second one, start your own conference, and you'll realize you probably will have to charge more than 160 a person if you are putting on anything of that caliber.
Or 3, sell more honey. Then you can go.
Sell more honey.
Well, and that's kind of
I mean, think about it. I mean, talking about the price of that versus look at the price of equipment and stuff that you have to, if you're really into beekeeping, look at all the money you
right.
spend there.
Yep.
And like Aaron was talking about the rent for that facility, I guarantee you, how much a day? What, 25,000 a day, maybe?
I'd
Something
hate
like-
to even know.
Honestly, I think you're way soft on that price.
I'm probably am.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you're really soft on that price.
Yeah.
There's no telling what the electric bill is for those 3 days
Oh yeah.
on that building.
Well, okay. Do you remember Joey that came and had done some sort of update? And I don't think it was that long ago, maybe only a couple weeks ago. And he referenced in there what it cost to have those fork truck drivers there for loading and unloading.
I remember that. Yeah. I forget.
You recall that?
It was so much a pound to get your stuff unloaded.
I want
Yeah.
to say per day. Oh man, I can't remember.
don't quote it. I don't remember.
It was a lot. I was thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, they're really proud of that. I'm like, for a fork truck to have it there. I mean, and he had to have a few of them, so that helps out with logistics. I mean, he's got a pretty good build just to keep a couple of fork truck drivers there. So, I mean, yeah, I don't think 25,000 a day would probably even touch that. I bet you it's probably the cost of an average size home to rent that space. If I'm thinking clearly.
Yeah, and he's going bigger. And he's going bigger with more space. So
Right.
it might be
only-
$100,000, for the weekend.
I guarantee it's probably more than 100 grand, but yeah.
The
It's-
only complaint I have about the conference last year was the lack of food vendors.
I agree
that
with you 100%.
That was my biggest issue last
And
year.
I'm like, I looked at, they didn't even have a hamburger joint there,
Right.
Well, and I
You know.
swear when Cayman first started promoting it, he said there were going to be food trucks outside.
He did.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that will be amazing. You can just choose whatever food you want. I'm so excited for the food trucks. And there was 0 food trucks and then only like 3 food options on the inside that didn't even have very big menus either. So that would be my biggest gripe about last year.
JW, this is your opening for a comment, okay? Just so you know. You heard what she's talking about. You've got
I'm
so
biting
many.
my lips. I can't imagine you guys be talking about food.
That's right.
Charlie just needs all he needs is a good popcorn vendor. Popcorn
Yeah.
machine.
No.
all I did was I went out and I had wraps out in the car,
Mhm.
sat out in
Hey,
the car for lunch.
I was eating popcorn during our live on Thursday and owed to Sawmill Charlie. And
So-
I noticed that.
Oh yeah.
He's got the skinny pop stuff. Okay, so I think Charlie came on so him and I can discuss the restaurant thing. That's what he wants to discuss.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I think so. Right? Right, Joey? We
In
gotta
other
figure
words,
out-
I
In
would
other
like
words,
for
what
all
we
of
eat?
us to get together.
That's
but
right,
I
go
don't,
eat.
I don't, it would be nice for all of us to get together like we did with Ricky last year.
There's
Hallelujah
a
actually messaged me on Facebook.
Yeah, that was one of the highlights.
Hallelujah.
if folks like really, really good Oriental, there is a I call them Japanese or Chinese or whatever they
Hibachi
are,
place?
Oriental. It's
Hibachi?
it's
Or a
a
buffet.
like all you can eat place.
A
Oh,
buffet.
gosh.
Uh,
You old people in your
Out,
buffets.
Buffet?
Northeast. It's out. See, I showed cattle down there for several years, and there's some good restaurants there. There's a nice Oriental joint, and it'll hold heck 300 people probably, and it's all serve yourself, and they've got everything
That would be
that
good.
you can imagine, from
That
sushi
Chinese
on,
buffet ate
right across the scale, but it's all Oriental,
So are you saying the quality of food was good?
It's great, and it's really, it's, you just walk in, take what you want, they got it out there, but I guess it's still open. I didn't go over last year when I was down there to it, but it's out on, it's not that far from the venue. It's probably maybe 4 mile, and it's all about all 4 lane over there to it. It's over on the north side of the airport where it's at.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna start looking into some restaurants down that way here in the next week or so.
I can't even
I
tell you
mean,
the
with all,
name of it.
and I mean, I've looked on Google Maps, like when I was looking for places to stay, and you got the airport, and then there's a lot of your hotels, right at that area there. But there's got to be more than, it's got to be some serious sized restaurants in the area, wouldn't you think?
I would think
There
so.
very, very definitely is.
With all them people
Don't
staying
ask me to
around there
name
all the
them,
time.
sorry, but there's a lot of places that can hold, 100, 150 people easy, and around there.
How many people do you think were at that dinner last year, Charlie? Like 30?
I think it was about 30 or 40, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say between 30 and 35 for sure.
Right.
And I would think you could potentially, if we're already talking about this now, you could potentially see a lot more people there than just that. So,
What do you need?
Yeah, I mean,
Especially you could talk Charlie doing that cowbush boogie on the bar at one of them joints.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Smell?
Charlie's
You
quite
dance,
the guy out there
You
at the dance
dance,
floor.
Charlie, and I'll sing. We can line
right.
them up.
You know what?
While it's on my mind, I wanted to tell Charlie that I wasn't on his live or didn't come on his last night because of ball game I was at. And
Yeah, I
if
seen the
Hor-
comment.
And if Horizontal Bees is still on here, we had a beekeeping meeting Thursday night, so I didn't even get to go over there and visit. So I just happened to think about it. All right, y'all carry on.
Oh, we thought you were snobbing us, Joey. That's what we thought.
No, I just happened to think about it.
Well, so JW, you've run around over there in Louisville a little bit then, so you understand the area.
Well, if I haven't forgot, yes.
Hey, can you do this later on? Call me with your credit card number. I'm gonna get a place reserved.
There you
That's
go.
I'll give you one.
Yeah.
Good luck on the other end.
Hey, as long as they hold the restaurant for us, it don't matter.
Mhm.
Maybe we could call it the Sawmill Charlie Experience.
Yeah.
Be JW singing, Charlie dancing, and I'll be in the background just chatting away, just blabbing on. And Melissa will be eating. And Joey will be chaperoning all of us.
So last year we went to that dinner with
I don't know any
Ricky.
place that's got a stripper
Ricky.
pole, Tom.
No, I'm not talking about that. No, not
Seems
talking
like
about
there's a lot of like Vietnamese and I mean, I'm looking in off to the left-hand side of the airport. There's all these Chinese, Asian type restaurants, which I'm not.
Yeah, that's where this is in a mall, and it sets back off of the parking lot will hold 200 cars probably. This is in a mall, and it's on the north side. I can't. I'll have to look also, Charlie, because I don't even remember the name of the joint. But it's really but it is all Oriental now. A lot of people don't care for it, but
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it myself.
Yeah.
But I would think there would be some, I don't know, some your normal stuff,
Yeah, just American.
I mean,
cuisine.
where we were at with Ricky there, I mean, I did get a steak or whatever. I think his wife wanted the Asian or the Mexican restaurant because that's probably what she liked. And I don't know. I don't see anything that's
And there's some good steakhouses there too. I just have to do a little thinking. I wasn't planning on doing that.
Yeah, I just, like you were saying, a place where everybody can park and
Well,
I have a
right.
sort of a, what would you call it? A cross the board type of
Mhm.
food or whatever.
So last year we did that dinner with Ricky, and then the next night Matthew Doucette with Comfort Pro. He did that Beaks and Brews thing, where it was like mead tasting. That was a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And Hive for Hero had that. What was that joint that they all went to?
It was a barbecue place.
Yeah, that was the same night as the Beaks and Brews thing.
Yeah, we didn't get to go to that because we were helping Matthew with the Beaks and Brews.
Yeah.
I hear that place was packed.
Which one?
The barbecue joint where Hive for Heroes
was where everybody was at someplace.
Yeah.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah, I think they had to do it in two different bunches. I mean, I think first bunch ate and left, and the second bunch, went in. All I can tell you is if I'm involved, I'm not going to go any place where I have to stand in line to eat.
I'd went to a steakhouse with a 628 Dirt Rooster and the gang.
Yeah.
Where was that
Last night, I can't remember where we went. I was trying to figure it out. I don't know if it was like a Western Sizzling or Longhorn, something like that. They had a pretty good steak there.
Brian wants to eat barbecue.
Well, Brian, get in on here. Let's figure this thing out.
Like I say, I'm looking at. It just seemed like there's.
Yeah, there is a lot of places right around there. I'm looking at it myself too.
I don't see anything that stands out that's sort of like all around for everybody.
Right. Something that's more kind of a general American cuisine.
Yeah.
Does
You got
nobody
Mexican.
on this chat from that area? Help us out.
Yeah, right.
I have to put a post on the Facebook page. Who lives in the who knows a good restaurant around here?
There's Philip. Come on in, Philip.
We ended up going when we were there last year with a group of us, probably, I don't know, 15,
There's more than that.
15,
Anyway.
20. We went to, it was down in the city itself. There was a Cuban restaurant down there, and I'll tell you what, it was pretty good. I mean, the food was,
It was really good.
it was really good. I had some steak, and it was top notch. It wasn't cheap, and they actually had there was a small, it wasn't in the main building. It was kind of out back. There was a small breezeway, and then you walked into this, like, I guess you'd call it a 3 or 4 seasons room, kind of connected to a patio that they had some heaters in, which was pretty comfortable, actually. But the parking down there was not great. When you get down into the city, it's just like city parking. It's not great. You
Yeah,
gotta find your own
fine.
spots.
You get down in town, and I'm gonna tell you what. You get on the wrong street, and you don't know where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
You may be sorry you got there.
Yeah.
It can be pretty rough in Louisville, Kentucky. I can tell you. You want to know where you're going.
Well, I don't know much about that part either. I've heard that.
Yep.
No, I didn't. That was Melissa and the
It's
chicken.
only chicken, Melanie.
You're making me hungry. I'm gonna get something to eat.
Oh, look, he's out.
Get some Vienna sausage and Louisiana hot sauce.
Oh gosh, Ugh. That's not food.
That's in between stuff.
Yep.
JW, you can go out back and carve a steak out of one of those cows that's back there. I think he ran off. I mean, I think that it probably wouldn't be hard to grab if we were able to kind of maybe land something and just put it out there that if anybody wants to come, trying to organize something that's always so hit and miss unless you like sell tickets to something like that. You can actually get somebody's commitment to it, Otherwise, if you have to rent out a space, they're going to charge you an arm and a leg. And if people don't show up, there's no way I'm going to foot the bill on that, So,
Well, when you're trying to do that, you got other people that you're asking. They say, well, so and so wanted me to come eat with them
yeah.
wherever. I have to see if I'm going to do that, So it's hard to get 10 people organized, much less 40.
Yeah, you'd have to see where everybody kind of lands that night, I guess. So you could just put it out there and say, hey, there's going to be a group of people going to such and such. Anybody's invited, come as you will.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Or you just sell tickets for $5 and then just save all that $5 and put that towards the tip at the end. When everybody's done, you use that for the tip.
I don't know. I don't want to get involved in that.
No, me either. I'm just saying that's an idea.
yeah, it just seems like everything's so spread out and all.
I mean, the nice thing is, though, that town is really not that big, so.
That's another point right there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, it's not usually the day, but it's the day after. And so.
Yeah, knowing how to get around in the town is a big one.
Well, every time I went somewhere to eat, whoever I was going with, they'd give me the address. I'd punch it in, and I felt like I just made a big circle first and then landed at the place. And it never did bring me back to the hotel the same way.
Yeah, we got when we came back from Ricky's, we didn't know whether we were going towards the darn airport or where. We didn't understand all the, you get around close to the airport and the Kentucky Center, like, which way are we supposed to go here?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I was going there, it put me on the back on the interstate.
Yeah.
And I think like the next exit or whatever, and I made a loop and come right back down on the local road and went right by where I had just pulled through. I didn't have to get on the interstate at all, but the GPS put me on it.
Huh.
That was weird.
Hey, Charlie, how far of a drive is it to get to that exposition center from your place?
Well, it's about 12 hours, I guess.
Oh, is it? It's a little further than I was thinking it was for you.
We're coming in on Wednesday, Melanie, whatever day that is.
Hey, Melanie, we're coming in. I think it's the 1st. We're coming in on Wednesday, the 1st.
Yeah, I am too.
Yep. Hey, Charlie, you said you can be there about midday or something. Isn't that right when you were talking the other day?
No, it'd probably be around, I don't know. It depends on how, what time we leave and all that stuff. But usually I like to leave early or something. I might maybe I'll leave the night before and come so far out, and get halfway out there or something.
Yeah.
Well, if I can get out to Morgantown, that's about 4 to 5 hours. And
Morgantown, what?
West Virginia.
Oh, okay. Well, you can guarantee one thing: there's not going to be much traffic across the country with that, right? Being's the day, it's probably going to be pretty light for most folks. So it'd be good traffic.
Hope the weather is good shape.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my only concern too, is that weather gets a little bit weird, and hopefully St. Louis stays dry. Because
I will bring a heavy coat this time. I did not bring a heavy coat last year because I was used to staying at the hotel that the conference was in, so we didn't have to wait outside in the cold. So I didn't bring a heavy coat. I just brought a light jacket. I was so freezing that first day when we were waiting to get into the conference.
Yeah. The first day, it wasn't extremely cold, but it was windy. Do you guys remember that? You remember that, Charlie?
Yeah, I think so.
Were you
I
standing
don't know.
up?
I don't know. We came in from Cincinnati that day, and we went to the baseball batting place. And
Louisville.
Yeah.
The Louisville.
And then we went to the restaurant, or we checked in, and then I think, Lee was there, happened to be, and he had the directions on how to kind of get there. I followed him to the restaurant is what I did. Coming back was another nightmare, but other than that, we got close,
Cajun Homestead, I think there's a couple discounts listed right now.
Yeah,
a
there's
couple.
only a few. He was saying, I think on the chat tonight that I don't think the vendor list is going to be up until for about a month. I know Hilco said something by what was it, a month or so, or October?
No, I think he's talked like October, middle of October, so only a few weeks away. I think he was going to have something out. Hey, Roy says you Southerners, and I mean, I'm not really a Southerner, can't drive when it snows. I actually plow snow, but I still don't want to deal with it. Hey,
Yeah,
Joey,
I don't
how
know.
often do you see snow at your place? Joey, how often do you see snow at your place?
Maybe every 5 years.
Yep. Okay.
It might be time.
I don't know. I mean, when we were coming home, it was snowing. The snow was coming towards us as we were going east. We got caught in it Sunday night, and we got a room, outside of Cumberland, Maryland. And then next day, the roads were fine, which I didn't have a problem with that. It was I stopped and saw one of them, Icy Mountain Honey that comes on here, Sandy. I stopped and saw her. We chatted for, I don't know, 45 minutes or so. By that time, the darn snow was, it was an inch or so on the darn road. Here I'm in a minivan, it's like in the mountains. It's like, get me, we finally got back out on the interstate, which was, we were following the snow plows. Once we got past Frostburg, then it seemed like the snow line quit and all that.
You didn't drive the Super Duty?
No, it's too much gas.
Is it a gasser or a diesel?
It's gas. I don't do diesel. I got rid of diesels a long time ago.
Yeah, both of mine are gas.
I'll be in a Super Duty.
Yeah.
I get a full 15, 16 miles a gallon.
Shoot. Is that
maybe 18 on the interstate?
And what do you have in that? Is that the diesel or the 7.362?
7.3.
Yep. My little brother's got one with a 7.3 in it.
Now I can drive it on a regular highway at 55, 60 miles an hour and get pretty decent. But when I get on the interstate, it starts falling down a couple of miles per gallon.
I gotcha.
Ford F-350.
Yeah.
Do y'all know any vendors that's put anything out yet? I know Hilco hadn't.
He didn't put anything out yet, but he said he was going to in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I think Thomas Swap Shop's got some.
Tom Swap Shop.
JW, you bring me a pile of money, I'll sell you some stuff, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
You leave home with a whole bunch of stuff you don't want.
I'll even throw in Tom for free.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Pretty hard worker. I'm a pretty hard worker, JW. If you bought me.
I don't doubt that one iota. It's the mouth I'd have a problem with.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just kidding you. You know that, I think.
Yep. I don't get my feelings too hurt. I had somebody I'm not going to point any fingers at, offends me on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
Right here. So what do you guys got going on here moving forward this next week? Anything interesting or anything fun with the beekeeping?
I'm supposed to be going to get bees out of a water meter.
Oh, hey, make sure you post a video of that. I like watching cutouts.
They called me like 4 weeks ago, and I got sick and didn't go do it for 2 weeks, and then weather held me up.
Yeah.
I told her I'd get to it sooner or later.
Yep. Probably not going anywhere, right?
No.
This time of year, a water meter is a different story, but people wanting cutouts this time of year, you almost kind of try to talk them out of it. So they wait till next year because the survivability of those bees goes down so much. Like even with us, even though we have comb and resources and stuff like that to give them, it's just so stressful for them this time of year to do cutouts. Like the last couple that we've done, the bees absconded.
They were small.
A few days after
Well,
we got them.
You guys do cutouts. I'm going tomorrow to do a dig out. I've got a neighbor that's got some property in town, a business office. And he called me today and says, do honeybees live in the ground?
Nope.
No, I don't think so. TJ, he said, well, what are they? And I said, well, they're yellow jackets, 90 or probably.
Mm-hmm.
He said, do they sting? I said, yeah, multiple
Yeah.
times. They're not like a honeybee. When they come at you, he says, have you got a bee jacket I can borrow? I said, yeah. He said, you got a full bee suit? I said, no. He said, can you come and get it? And good old JW, he says, yeah, I'll do it. So I said, he said,
I watched Randy doing that removal of them bumblebees, and he said he was nervous about it. I said, if he's nervous, I'm not going to mess with him at all.
Well, honey or yellow jackets can be worse than bumblebees. I've been there with both of them.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go dig them out tomorrow. If they're underneath the flower, he said, we'll go there with that flower pot and dig. And he says that's where they're at. So
I'm not going to say what I'm going to do to yellow jackets. Not on YouTube.
Yeah.
I got flagged one time.
I think we know where you're coming from, though, and I would do the same.
So Roy said he got the cheapest price on Jesters was Greg Burns last year. So this is a debate Tom and I have whether we like the Pro Nukes or the Jester nukes better. And I'm for the Pro Nukes because I hear those Jester nukes are a pain in the butt to assemble.
Yeah, that's a good question.
They tip over when when they're empty and you're trying to put your frames into it. They're tipping over. You have to set them up just right. They just irritate the bejesus out of me.
I mean, how many nukes you going to buy? You going to buy a pallet of them or whatever?
No, I don't. I already have a bunch left from last year. So my goal is to build between 60 and 75 nukes to sell this spring. And that's all I'm going to do this year. So I don't know how many I have. I might have maybe 30 between a mix of some Pro Nukes and Jesters. So I'll need to get, I don't know. I'll have to count them. But
I've got both. I like the Jesters better than the Pro, Melissa.
So do I.
Because they're a lot lighter. And the Pros, you've got to have 5 rows of duct tape if you're going to put bees in them, to ship or take very far.
Yeah.
The little suckers, them little sliding deals at the end of them, they come out of it.
Yeah.
The Jesters are good and tight.
I've never seen a Jester.
So it's like what they call an easy nuke. That's the chloroplast one. Yeah. It's basically like the plastic coated cardboard that you have to fold up, and it's got the lid that's attached, but it folds over. It's white in color and it has green lettering on it. I don't know. I'm not sure how to describe it any better than that. They're much more lightweight.
Let me catch some people up here that come in late and didn't hear my story about why I said something about the yellow jackets just now.
Oh, yeah.
Most everybody in here has already heard the story, but I put a short out on a video that was already done a couple of months ago where the hive beetles was hiding in the queen excluder. And I took that where I was bumping those hive beetles out and made a short out of it. And I posted it yesterday around 4:00. And it was getting pretty good hits. And I went to a ball game. It went into overtime. And when I got back about 10:30 that night, YouTube had took it down. It was too violent of a video.
Oh my gosh.
Stomping hive beetles. So anyway, that's why I said I'm not going to say what I do with yellow jackets in the ground.
Good call. Melanie's not wrong.
I know. I will not be assembling them because I don't want those boxes.
You're the cheapest labor I got.
They're really not that hard to assemble, Melissa. I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Would you come over and show me? Do like 40 of it?
I'm not trying to influence you in any way because it's immaterial to me. But
if you come over and show Melissa how to do 40 of them, I'll let you do that.
I can do that. I'll even help her do them all.
Sure.
What are bee bites?
I don't know what bee bites are.
So Strong Microbials has
they got a new
product
deal out called Bee Bites.
Yeah, I believe it's JW, was that like a pollen patty with a spirulina?
It's a patty of some kind. I think it's green even.
Was that what Brian was talking about earlier on the phone too?
Yeah, so it's green in color, and it looked to me, I seen a couple advertisements for it. It looked to me like it was I don't know, I guess like a pollen patty. Maybe I'm wrong, but it was green. Like if you had spirulina in something, like when we put spirulina before in our pollen patties, it turned it a really dark forest green color.
What's that friend of yours up there in New York or New Jersey? Charlie gets on your stream once in a while. He's a big believer.
Yeah, I forget what I don't know. There was a guy up. He's like you say up in New Hampshire or someplace.
Yeah, younger guy.
Yeah, he was doing spirulina.
Yeah.
And all that, and
that's what they're promoting on this new product called the Bee Bites. Is
who's making that now?
Strong Microbials.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that any good? Did you see anything in spirulina? Did you get anything out of it?
Yeah, so spirulina is really good for gut health. We've used it before in pollen patties ourselves, and we mixed them up ourselves.
Yeah, I know Nancy that comes on my show. She used to get spirulina patties when you could get them.
Yeah.
And all
I
that.
think basically what these is with the Strong Microbial product in with it. I think that's what what this is supposed to be. A kind of a patty. It looks to me like.
So Melanie, my question is, what was wrong with the spirulina? We've used it before, and we actually mixed some pollen patties up that we put spirulina in, some that had spirulina, some that did not, and we put them on the hives. And I don't know that I noticed a difference in either one of them. They ate both of them just the same, without any issue.
The thing of it is, did you get I mean, all right, like if you put Apis biologic in there, you're going to see a huge, at least I did the first year I used it, or the first spring I got with it, where, your population is just booms. And I haven't really seen anything else out there that, that you get a benefit. I mean, they'll all say, all right, like super DFM, all your bees look great. Well, that's, if you got a gut issue that, let's say you're having bee diarrhea or something like that, and you put that in there, or some other virus type of thing, and it cleans it up. All right, then there's a benefit there.
Yeah. But, well, I guess
just to say your bees look good doesn't cut it.
I mean, that's a good question. And actually, believe it or not, Brian and I had a conversation about that here earlier, and we asked each other the same question. And we said, this is probably a really good topic, because I think what we really end up doing for the most part is we recognize brands, we recognize Hive-Align, we recognize, rocket fuel inside of the pollen patties, and everybody starts grabbing on and gravitating to it because everybody keeps talking about it. But in the end, we're all just talking about here, is it really beneficial? Are we seeing a result from it? And this is the same thing that, again, Brian and I talked about, even doing a simple field study that each one of us ourselves could do on our hives. If we took a small percentage of the hives in the same bee yard, and if we manage these all the same way, and they're all of a similar size in the same location under the same conditions, if you feed half of them this product and half of them not, I mean, that you would be able to see a clear result or not. Either there's not.
Well,
not
I mean, not this year because I had queen issues, but the previous year. All right, I'm running 3 mediums. The norm is always the bee come springtime. Where are the bees at? They're in the top 2 mediums. The bottom medium was completely, you got stragglers, but no brood, no food, no nothing down there. It's just basically an open box for you.
Mhm.
When I did Apis Biologic, it was brood in every box. There was bees in every box. I mean, there was just a volcano of bees coming out of this thing when I opened it up. Totally got me, off guard. I was like, what am I, how am I going to deal with this type of thing? I guess what I'm saying is a lot of times I like to have a plan, all right, I'm going to go in and I'm going to go into that hive and we're going to do this.
Mhm.
And that without a lot of bee intervention as much as possible.
Mhm.
And I mean, I definitely seen, a total increase in brood and bees and they were in all the boxes. So
my question,
I feel like I got my money out of the product.
Mm-hmm. So
and then you got the bag is $54. I bought it here this year, January, $54 at the show, which saved
Mhm.
me at least $25 or more. And that bag is, you can get 268 gallons of feed out of it. For me,
so you use the one for feed, not for pollen, correct?
Yeah, I don't know pollen. And when they came out with the idea, like Bob had that huge bag for pollen making, and I'm like, who's going to do that? The average backyard beekeeper, they're going to buy pollen patties pre-made.
Oh, we didn't. We made our own.
Yeah, but you don't have 4 hives in the back of your yard. You got 150 some hives.
Yeah.
And you're a little more, you're definitely sideliner and you probably have a commercial mixer or something on it that you can use to do something like that.
That's my commercial mixer.
My kitchen.
I figured you take that skid steer and put yourself a post hole digger on it and go.
Well, what I need to do is I need a bucket with the auger in it. I mean, I do have an auger for doing.
Just hook it on the front of that thing and just up and down, up and down, up and down, and mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told him we needed to buy one of those little cheap cement mixers from Harbor Freight to mix pollen patties and to mix candy board, sugar boards.
I told her no, she could do it by hand.
Get her one of them old-fashioned butter churns, Tom.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
In the middle of it.
Yep. If she gets tired, I'll tell her to switch arms. So this last year was the first year we've ever bought pollen patties. We had mixed all of our own up till that point. And I mean, I will preface this with, we don't feed a lot of pollen because our area in St. Louis is, and I think most Missouri is pretty pollen rich for the most part. But, and again, this is the same conversation that Brian and I had here earlier. We talked about a lot of things, but I don't feed pollen earlier than what my pollens start to come in at naturally. All I use it for is I use it to bridge the gaps in weather. So if we get 3 or 4 days of rain and they can't fly, I have a pollen patty that I put in there. Or if we start to get a little bit warm and they fly one day or a couple days and bring pollen in, and then they can't fly for 2 or 3 days, if I have a pollen patty in there at that time, they can continue to feed off of it. So the queen doesn't want to pull back from brood rearing. I need her to continue to brood heavy because I am going to make a couple of splits off of that colony for nucleus production. Mm-hmm. So that is my goal. So I'm using it to bridge the gaps, not because I am in a pollen dearth in my area in the spring. So that's really the only time that I've ever fed. And I still actually,
maples bloom early March. And after that, forget about it. And then people talk about, I'll tell them I'll pull in pollen frames out of the hives. I said, if you get more than 1 or 2 pollen frames in a hive, it's overkill. All you're doing is losing space for eggs and brood and everything else. And I think I pulled 50 some frames and chucked them because of the pollen. You know, it's
Oh,
too
really?
overwhelming. And
Yeah.
like you say, I've been thinking about it I mean, the last 2 years I bought global patties. I will have to say, if you're going to buy any kind of patty, I'll buy global over Man Lake any day of the week. They're nice and soft and pliable. They're not dried out and like a bunch of junk. I threw more Man Lake stuff out in the front and out in the field than but then on the other hand, like you say, with the global patties / the pollen part of it, is it really worth spending the money on?
I personally think that depends on each and every one of us as management practices, for one. And I think two, I think it depends on your location. And that doesn't mean just, you know, you're in Maryland, I'm in Missouri. That means I'm in Missouri on the eastern side. JW is only 2 hours from me, and even an hour could be a different story, right? So it is very much localized. So there really isn't a wrong answer for that. I think it really depends on the person's goals and what they're looking to do.
I mean, when it comes to knobby, I mean, you can't beat the price. I mean, I bought 10 pounds the first year they offered it. This year I bought 20 pounds, and I don't know, I fed it. I'm just not really sure. Like you say, is it really worth the expense when you got nectar stuff or pollen coming in? I talked to a friend of mine that I get bees with, and he says, I sell it. He's a Man Lake dealer, but he says, I don't use pollen patties. He says, you know, he just feels like it's overkill, I'll say.
Yeah, for sure.
And all that.
Hey, Charlie, I want to ask you a question about something. So I know you're a really big advocate of Apis Biologic and their additive to the supplemental feeding. So let me ask you a question. So if I'm going to play the kind of the devil's advocate for just 1 minute, do you think, so the first year that you used it, you said you had seen great results. Your bees were brooding up very heavy. So let me ask you a question. Do you think it's possible? Okay, so I guess a two-part question. Have you seen that for the last couple of years consistently? Or do you feel like that maybe there was an environmental thing that happened? Like, for instance, maybe the weather happened to peak a little bit earlier, or it was more consistent for you where the bees could bring back that food more consistently, and that could have skewed the results in any way?
Well, the first year I fed it in the fall, and this is 24, 20. In spring of 23, I had, like I said, that was the first year, and I had brood in every box, and I had more. Like I say, take the two mediums off, the bottom box is totally empty. You know, you might have a handful of bees literally in the bottom box, and you would, basically you're rotating your boxes, and that's what I thought I was going to do. And I got caught like, my gosh, I've never seen so damn many bees. And you dig down into that hive and there's brood in every box, and, multiple frames of brood. And now this spring I lost about half my hives. They died. And then the other part, now these are all the production hives. I had queens that were laying spotty drones all over the place. I had a little patch of brood like that on one of the frames, and the majority of the frames had no eggs in them. So, I learned a lot about my queen, about queens in general, through the hard knocks. The fact that those queens, they were too old. I don't know how old they were, but they were too old. They were poorly mated, and they were, I'll say, most likely ran out of gas because they're just too old. And as soon as I put them fresh ones in there, I got them from down at Kudix out of South Carolina. Within weeks, I had 6-7 frames of brood in there and all that. So number one, I learned that you want to replace the queens every 2 years, so you have a more consistent hives instead of up and down roller coaster ride with them. And I would, between the combination of great queens, and I keep my mite loads down and I feed, but I feel like I feel Apis biologic, and I talked to Munn when he was on Bob's channel, and he's one of them guys. He'll never commit to anything. You can't corner him because he's that kind of a guy. It's just like Bob kept telling him, hey, you need to call this rocket fuel. This is what the people, oh, no, 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 no. This is the name that I picked. Well, guess what? You don't have anything, you don't know anything about marketing. And when you take, you know, Ian coined the phrase rocket fuel, everybody knows that. And look what marketing did. They coined the phrase, whether he liked it or not. And people that's Apis biological. What's that? Oh, rocket fuel. I know what that is.
Yep.
It's easy to remember.
So Brian brings up a really good question that you may have answered here. He says, do you think Apis played a role in your queens aging out?
No, I don't think so. I think my queens just fizzled out. You know, I think my opinion, and whatever the guy's name is, Monday, whatever his last name is, the guy that invented this stuff. I says, you got sugar water and the bees will survive on that. But when you put Apis in it, I feel the best way to describe it is that it turns it into nectar. It gives all the properties of what nectar has in it and makes sugar water like nectar. And I think they react to it like it's fresh nectar coming in because of all the enzymes and, you know, whatever, what all's in there. Everything. That's my opinion of it. I'll see what it's like. You know, next spring will kind of tell the tale, I think, when it comes to the population and that kind of thing. Now, I had nukes. I did have my nukes that I was selling, and I had anywhere from 4 to 6 frames of solid, you know, slabs of brood in there. Of course, they were young queens from the year before. They went through the winter and coming out, and I'm selling them. So they're basically a 1-year queen. And that kind of opened my eyes up. Now, see, this is what I complain about when it comes to, I mean, we are at Lake Cayman. He's got all these speakers. And maybe I should be the speaker. I don't know. But it's like, why did it take me 15 years to figure all this, or by the hard way of Knox, figuring out and understanding about queens? Why isn't this information put out in a talk like tonight? One guy said something about he put a queen in or something or another, and they laid up eggs or whatever, and they killed her and whatever, and they're replacing her. He said that queen was poorly mated. That's why they didn't like her. Now, whether that's actually factual, I'm not sure. But things like that, it's like I found out through asking a bunch of people. If you're in the deep south, you want to, you know, like where Brad, with Brad with Cajun Homestead, he's down in that area there. Joseph can tell you he was taught this way. You replace that queen every year because she lays 11 months out of the year. Where I'm at, every 2 years, because we get about a 4-month winter break. It's, I won't say totally broodless, but pretty much. If you go up north, I had Troy up
Hall.
there.
Troy Hall.
Yeah. I had him come in. I actually spoke with him. I got more information out of him on the phone. We were talking about it, the subject. He said, yes. He said 1 and 2 year queens, you can definitely tell they're great. He said, if I have a real good queen there and he lets her live into the 3rd year, she'll do good because they've got 6 months worth of winter up there where they don't do anything. But you can definitely tell she's a 3rd year queen. She's just not as good as a 1 and a 2 year old. And then seems like that if the queen lays. Well, that's the problem. They don't lay over winter. Your queen shuts down. I've been in there, let's say,
Depends on where you are.
in mid-February. They might have, and to me, it was amazing that it was one of them beautiful 50 degree days. I pulled up some frames and here's this patch of brood about 2.5, 3 inches in diameter, capped, and then there was a kind of a halo of eggs around it. And that was February. I said, damn, but it's only about that big, only 1 or 2 frames. Now, same situation. You go down where Joey's at, he'll have 3 full frames of brood through the winter time and everything. Or like that's what even Brian said down, where he's at.
Yeah.
And that's a different story.
Well, that depends on your genetics too, I think.
Yeah.
Sure
does.
But we're talking environment here. We're talking, Joey, it's what, 60, 70 degrees in January down there where you're at? A lot of times. Turn your mic on.
Yeah, that's a low. 60.
That's a low. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 60, 70 degrees. I mean, that's summertime for us. 80 and 80, 80 up to 95 degrees is, the hot summer.
See, we might get a freezing temperature overnight, but it just goes away as soon as the sun comes up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the bees
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
your hives are brooding 12 months out of the year, and she's wore out. And what I'm trying to say here is this: why isn't the intermediate beekeepers given, these are what you should be doing with your queens? If you live in this area of the country, this is the reasoning why behind you should be doing these different things. And I went to one seminar. Actually, I listened to her at the Maryland State, and I was about half asleep because she was so monotone in a way. And then I seen her on where Man Lake had her, the same exact talked about queens. Well, then since I've gotten myself educated a little bit more, then when she said after the first year, the queen reduces egg laying production by 40-some%. That's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
But she just said that and kept on going. To me, she should have said, this is why you want to replace your queens every 2 years, because if it reduces at 40% after the first year, how much more is it going to be after the second year? And you get to the point where
less chance of swarming too. Less chance of swarming with the first year queen as opposed to a second year queen. I'll even add something to what you're talking about. I would even say something that's equally as important. Now you're mentioning here where the location is at, if they're brooding 11 months out of the year, or maybe where you're at, maybe it's 8 months out of the year, 9 months out of the year. But here's something that's equally important, and this can be dialed down to so many miles from your location, is how well are those queens being mated, right? So not only can you have, and that's something we just don't really know about as well. You can't go into your box and see how well your queen was mated, because she might pump out some really great brood patterns for 6 months or maybe 5 months and then peter out at the end of the season because, yes, she was mated, but she didn't mate well enough for the amount of brood production that she was putting out there too, Bob Benny just recently put out a video, and he talks about that they were reassessing what the brood patterns were looking like and getting them set up for it. He said there are sometimes they have to replace the queens that they just introduced that spring because the pattern itself was starting to fizzle out. He goes, so absolutely, we will replace them. It doesn't matter that they're only a first year queen. We will, replace them if need be. So, and that can be kind of in your own specific environment right around you. As to the population.
I always get at least one nuke every year, at least one. Right off the bat, they start superseding her for whatever reason. And it looks like that she's laying good, but they're supersede her anyway. So something's not right.
Right.
That's right.
The bees know.
To answer Philip's question out there, when I opened them, all right. So we're looking at the end of March. So let's be biology. It's very simple. 3 weeks. Count it 3 weeks back. So let's say if it was the third week of March, it was those bees that are brand new eggs were laid at the end of February. And in our area, she'll probably start laying late January, mid to late January, early February and all. But how much is she going to lay? You know, is she going to lay up frames upon frames? Depends. You got to have the bee power, as I call it. If you haven't got the bee coverage on them frames, she ain't going to lay up. She's only going to lay up what she can cover and what she can keep hot and all that. So,
yep,
you know,
she can lay, but if they're not able to take care of it, they'll cannibalize them.
that's right.
Yeah, you gotta have those heater bees.
And then Brian, like he says, the new beekeeper takes, it takes years. It does. And then back to my story about the queen and the science lady and all that. Well, since I've learned all this other information, then I key in on what that science person was saying, and I can utilize the information. But a lot of, prior to me knowing a lot more about queens and their biology type history, it kind of went right over top of my head what she was saying. Yes, it was important, but it didn't mean anything to me at that point in time.
Yeah, I think sometimes, and I've heard a commercial guy say this before in the past, and I think he was spot on. The question was asked to him. He said, "What is the one thing?" Oh, let's see, how did they ask it? Basically what he was asked was, "What's the one thing that non-commercial beekeepers or even hobbyists should do differently?" And he said they should focus on the things that matter. He said more often than not, non-commercial beekeepers focus on the details that don't even matter. He goes, they're focused too much on, should I use Hive Alive or should I use Apis Biologic? What about the hive beetles in my hive? What should I do about them? He goes, everybody should be focusing on more of the basics, and then some of the other stuff tends to sort itself out. And I'm like,
yeah, but now what you just said there is basically a carpet answer. It's like Roy says about clubs should be talking about what we were talking here tonight. You're head of your club. I'm still the president of my club for the last 5 years. You start talking about this deep subject of queens and whatever, shoom, right over top of their head. And they're not interested in that because they're not at that level in their beekeeping education or world or whatever. And some of them, I got one lady and I got some people in my own club that's been at it they're 2-year beekeepers for the last 10 years and they'll never go any farther. Yeah. And that's just where they're at, and their comprehension is it just doesn't, they just don't get it.
Yeah.
They just don't get it.
I understand. I think some people are comfortable with learning or understanding what it is that they have an interest in. And when it comes to some of the real solid, technicalities or meat and potatoes of it, they'll be like, well, if I have a problem, I'll just ask somebody, So, and I don't know. I mean, I guess that works. I don't know. I would rather know myself to understand how I want to manage something to the best of my ability. Let's be honest here. Beekeeping is not easy because, and this is something that Brian and I had the conversation about again earlier. We talked about so many things, but I'm like, we should not call ourselves, when we reach a certain level, we should not call ourselves master beekeepers. We should be calling ourselves master manipulators, because that's all we are doing as beekeepers. Is you can't take the hardwired nature out of Mother Nature. Bees are going to do what it is they do, how they do it, how they want to. Charlie, you can't go out to your bee yard and tell your colonies, hey, stop working this clover. I need you to go over here and hit this flower over here, right? Yeah, it doesn't work like that. So they're going to do what they want to do. And that would be, we'd have almost no control over. But
we can
always manipulate a situation.
Like Tom and myself and Joseph, we've got enough experience. We're master manipulators, is what we really are. I tell people about nuke boxes. I says, don't buy a 10-frame hive, buy a 5-frame nuke and put your 3 pounds of bees in that. Well, that's going to spend more money. Well, I'm telling you what really works.
Yeah.
I'm telling you how to manipulate the bees to focus on 5 frames of foundation and draw that out. And of course, you're feeding it, at the same time. And I says they will draw that wax out on all the frames just right, and she'll lay eggs in there before they even finish drawing the wax out. And once you get to that point where the 5 frames are drawn, I'll say laid up quite a bit with eggs and larvae and all this other stuff, put another box on top of that and just keep growing at their vertical tree, and you're manipulating them. I says, I watched a 10 frame hive. What do you got there? The cluster is on 6 frames, dead center. And then you got these lazy bees that are out here on the outer perimeter, and they're not doing anything for the colony. They're just out there hanging out, as far as I can see. They're not helping draw wax or whatever. You put them in them small, compact boxes. It does a great job.
They do. And what's funny is sometimes in the early spring, that works really well for me. If I start to get a little bit, I feel like I'm getting a little bit behind because those bees are really building so fast that you can't physically get to all those colonies in a short amount of time. All you have to do with the 5 frame nuke is, rather than taking that 5 frame nuke and moving it into your 10 frame box, your 8 frame box, just take an upper. I'm like, if you have nucleus colonies, buy a couple of supers for these things, right? And use a nuke as a resource hive. If you have a colony that's booming, you're like, what do I do? It's like, make a split. They're like, well, I don't want any more hives. I'm like, trust me, when you get past the summer solstice there, you're going to be pushing a rope uphill to try to keep those bees going. It is much more difficult than just watching things unfold in front of you. Build a nuke and hang on to it, because there is a good possibility, if it is not a first year queen, right, that you may end up using that nuke to plug in when that other colony starts to fail or go queenless or something weird happens there. You can just plug it right in, and now you're good to go. You don't have to be scrambling around and saying, who's got queens? I'll pay whatever it takes to get a queen in here. You already have a nuke right there. It's basically it's a nuclei. Just take that gal and plug it right into your already, existing.
I call them insurance hives. They're insurance policies.
Definitely. I think, and Brian had them out when we were out there speaking in the Colorado State, and I've heard it before, and I like to listen to it again. Probably one of the best presentations that I've heard on nukes and how to utilize them is Ian Stepler's.
Battery.
He calls them a
Battery.
A battery. No, he's a something battery.
Nuke battery.
Yeah, nuke battery, basically. Yeah. And the way he implements them and uses them, it's like he doesn't even count them as his hives. He just, when one starts feeling, he takes that one out of there, plugs it into that, and keeps moving. So his production hives are always staying consistently moving and going, and everything's unfolding, So, it's like,
but the other problem is, like you said, is the newer beekeeper, I want 4 hives and I don't want 4 nukes along with my 4 hives. They don't either have the room for it or something like that. And
it can just be a money saver, and it can take the sting out of a bad situation, no pun intended, very easily by having a nuke or a nuke.
Behind that row there, I had racks where I had 2 frame mating boxes, and I'd have 20 queens sitting there, in them little hives. And like I'll tell you, it changes your whole feelings about beekeeping. It takes the stress out. It's like, oh, I got a bad queen here. Well, the first thought most beekeepers is, do I want to spend $40? Maybe we can squeeze her and push her, and we can put a crutch underneath her. I'll put some extra brood in that hive and all that kind of stuff. Where an experienced beekeeper that's got 20 queens sitting behind him, it's like, pinch that queen. Let's go over here. Yeah, this is a nice looking queen. Let's take and introduce her to that one. We didn't worry about the money because the free queen is over there in the bank.
You need to know when not to throw good money after bad. You know, if a hive has gone queenless and there's just not much value left in there besides the comb that they're standing on, that will get, you know, hive beetles will take over, or wax moths. Know what the value is in any hive at that time. And if their value is a bunch of old bees that are on the verge of probably laying worker, yeah, there's no value in the bees there. Shake them out, pull your comb back, and use that for either another colony or, you know, freeze it and hold it back. That's the value that's left. There's no more value in risking $30, $40, $50 on a queen late season with a handful of old bees that have no intention on raising any young brood. You know, they are just not going to do it.
The way
I mean,
I
Charlie,
feel about
that would be like you, Charlie, having a baby. You're like, what am I going to do with this? I'm like, I don't have the wherewithal or the, you know, the stamina anymore to chase around a little 1-year-old. Those older bees are no different. You know, they're not going to be like, yeah, that's fine. We're going to go ahead and rear a whole bunch of babies. It's like, good luck with that. You know?
Yeah, I like Roy there. We talking about the Michael Palmer style. Well, see, that's what got me into nukes was Michael Palmer, because he started talking about nukes and making nukes, and then he finally, you know, that he got the momentum of an old idea come new again. Now, as far as the Palmer style hives, I looked at them, and to me, they are a little bit, I don't know. They kind of, I don't know, bind you up, as I call it, where if you got individual nukes, you can do something with that one hive. If you got those two hives put together and you got a dead out on this side and it's a big deep frame box with a divider in the middle, how are you supposed to clean out the other hive in order to manipulate it and stuff? So that's why I went with just single boxes. That way I can treat each nuke as a single hive. And if, you know, or another thing with queens is if they can hear each other on side by side, sometimes they get to, you know, Brad up there in Canada talked about it, where they have the three nukes. And he'll tell you that center nuke, a lot of times a queen will be gone because she dies out or they kill her because they hear the other queen piping and all that kind of stuff. And,
interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, Roy Prog says something that's kind of interesting. He said, I run 10 and that's a handful. I think sometimes we get too into the fact of I have this many colonies. That makes me a better beekeeper. Yeah, that's hogwash. I don't care.
I'm starting to hear amongst a lot of beekeepers here just recently. It's like Carl up there. He wanted 150, him and his wife in Pennsylvania. And his wife had some medical issues. And they're at 60 right now. And they're like, you know what? Why don't we just learn to manage this at this time? And this is good enough for now. And we got enough product income, i.e. honey and stuff that they sell at their markets, which they're developing a lot of their own markets and stuff. And that's good enough for right now. And like myself, if you count the mating boxes, I was doing grafting, I was doing nuke sales, I'm doing honey sales. Honey sales was it was prominent, but not real prominent as far as the amount of honey. But in the last couple of years, a couple of beekeepers quit. Ones that I would sell nukes to, they all just gave it up after a while. One of them was a guy up the road here that he was beekeeping before Varroa, and I don't think he could ever overcome that old technology that he had always knew. And so anyway, I got honey sales that went up for me. I sold nukes for 10 years or more, and I'm just tired of it. And
yeah, maybe time for a change.
Yeah, so I increased my honey production hives. In turn, I decreased my nuke production, where I've got 16 honey production hives. I still have room for a dozen nukes. Right now I got about 9 of them. And so that's, you know, insurance battery, I guess you would call it. I already got a production hive that's went down on me because of crappy queens. So one of my nukes is going to be taken in the middle of the winter and put it in that spot so I can transfer it over to 10 frame. And just different ones of, like you said, they scale up and they get up there and it's like, man, this is a lot of work. Especially if you got a day job on top of it. And then it's like, maybe we need, and then it becomes a job. And it's every weekend, all day, all Saturday and Sunday, are constantly working the bees in order to keep up. And that's now they're starting, start scaling back down. That's where I'm at. I'm scaling back down to where I'll put a little more fun back into it. And I enjoy grafting and queens. And because of the nuke sales, I wasn't able to do the queen sales because I didn't have the resources to make the 2-frame mating boxes, to make the cell builder and all that. So now I'm going to, I think it was Roy's talking about, what do you do with all this brood, about them swarming? Well, that's no problem here. I'm going to have another box sitting there, and I'm going to pull brood out of all of them hives and put in there and get the nurse bees up and running. And so I can cell build either a queenless or a queen right cell builder, one of the two.
Yeah. I think it's important to know what you can manage and what you can manage well. I don't think it matters.
Well, I enjoy queen running. It's to me, queens raising queens is it's fun. It's it challenges your skills. To me, it's like you're playing. To me, I always say you're playing a game with the bees. The bees are going to tell you whether or not you win or not. If you can get 80 or 90% acceptance rate in your cells, where they're drawing them out and capping them, that's one part of the game. And then the other part of the game is, can you take your cells, put them in your mating boxes, and your queens come back mated, and they lay out beautiful patterns. And it's kind of like growing that tomato plant. It's a beautiful red tomato that's going to taste great. And here you got these beautiful queens. You get to the point where you don't even want to sell them because they look so good and all that. So it's it's where you're at in your beekeeping. Brian Flower Street out there, he's scaling up. He's got his markets that he's been developing over the last 5 years or more. And that kind of stuff. And
yeah, he has a lot of good strategies behind what he's doing. And I think Brian's only managing like 70 colonies. When you're thinking about it, it's like, well, how can you only manage 70 colonies and make a living? Well, I think that depends on a lot of parameters. Location is one of them. 2, management practices is huge, right? And also another thing too is Brian, part of his, and I don't want to speak for him, but him and I have had a lot of in-depth conversations, but he uses a lot of value-added items toward his too. So if you are just nothing but honey production and you're selling off wholesale, well, you better produce a lot of honey to make a living off of 70 colonies. I would argue that I couldn't earn a living off of that. Not to the tune that I would want to live out of, a certain scale of money per year. But with him adding all these items in, he sold nukes this spring. He sold like 30 nukes. Brian has a table that has not just honey, but several value-added items on that. And he's in an area, a demographic area, that he's found a niche, as far as presentation. I mean, there is a whole gamut of things.
I've talked with Brian too. And the number one, all right, he's retired from one job. I presume he's getting some type of retirement check. Whether or not you can live off of that, but that's where the beekeeping, before he retired, he's also a good business person from what I can see. He started prior to retirement, built up a festival business, I guess, where they're going out and selling all these different value added products. And diversity, your income sources, correct. And anyway, what I'm getting at is, they're doing candles and lip balm and salves and honey and creamed honey. And he's sitting there experimenting, I'll say, with creamed honey and all the different types of flavors and whatever. He's also been on my chat and said, hey, this is the business aspect of it. Most people can't seem to, they don't get, I guess, because if you're not in a business situation where he has a spreadsheet, he evaluates every festival that he went to for that year. And he's calling out all those low income outfit places and keeping all the high income places, and then trying to go into other known high income places to get in there. So that's the business aspect of it. And then, like he was just saying there, he's got up to about 70, 75 hives. And he's like, okay, we're going to stop here and kind of, I'll say, evaluate how we can work that amount of hives and do all the other things on the weekends and stuff.
There's
like
a couple close to me here that has found a market, like kind of like he did. And they go to those markets all the time to sell their honey and all the other little things they do. And I mentioned it before.
Yeah, I had that spoon.
I got that screen on. Yeah, that sucker spoon. They got just a few cents in those sucker spoons, and they sell them for $1. They make as much money off all the other items that they have with them as they do selling the honey.
Yeah, here's another thing.
You got to find that market.
Brian can comment on this, but I'm sure Brian during certain times of the year would probably, if anybody was looking for a presenter to come in and talk specifically to your club about how to market your products. And I think this pays for itself in your community. If you do something like this, the last thing that you want, in my opinion, is you'd have to stand out above everybody else. But if you can educate your customers, and this person is producing your people within your beekeeping community are producing good products, but yet they're not asking the value that they should be, helping to educate them how to get the most value out of their product. Because let's be honest here, beekeeping is not cheap, folks. There's nothing. You can pick so many other hobbies that are far less, that have, first of all, bigger profit margins, right, than beekeeping or selling honey, and are much less risky too. But, we've talked about probably bringing him in at St. Louis at some point in time and giving a presentation talking about marketing, how to appropriately market your products, value-added items, and everything that encompasses around it, so that way, you don't have as many people. Oh yeah, I'll give you here's $8 for a bottle of honey. And it's like, that's actually some really good honey. You realize that if you put a better presentation on that bottle or market it just a little bit better, you can get 12 out of that. You can add 33%, value to that by maybe making a couple of small changes, maybe even educating your customer about how you do something is just a small difference in it, But I mean, if there's nobody out there that would say, well, I'd rather take $8 over $12 per pound, right? So again, there's a lot of things to consider, but that's something that, again, I know Brian and I have had many conversations about it, and some here again just recently about how to sell, how to market. And I ask him questions even about, Melissa and I have done several markets the last few years, really hot and heavy the last 2 years, but also we're constantly changing how it is we're doing something based upon what it is that we're seeing, and specifically in the market that we're in. Brian is in Colorado. He is in a different market, but I think him and I similarly are trying to market to a same demographic of people. I would rather get top dollar for my honey, but I better bring my A game. It better, first of all, have a really good flavor and taste. Second of all, my presentation better be spot on, and as well as the way I set up my display and table. So it's easy to look at. Your eye is not bouncing all over the place. If you looked at, Brian had a video out earlier and he showed a panned across his table with the video camera showing the layout and presentation. And him and I talked all about it, how he had different layers of depth on his table where it wasn't chaotic looking, but he was showing each one of his products and displaying them across his table. And he even talked about placement of where he wanted to put certain things on his table. He's like, well, I want the candles out here because the way, when we're setting up at this market, the way the sunlight hits them, it's catching people's attention, helping them make the purchase that they already want to make. You're just helping push them over the edge there, So we're still kind of honing in on some of those things a little bit ourselves too.
Yeah, Peter, you're dead on there. That's for sure.
Yeah, about half and half, maybe a little more with the nukes.
Good one, Brian. He says Tom wants a brighter sheen on his candles. I suggested Hive Alive.
Like Phil's, look at Phil's comment there is pretty good, I think.
Was buy him lunch and let him call me Richard. And he can change a flat tire. Next time I have a flat tire, I'm calling Brian, like, hey, Brian, can you be over here in 12 hours and get this thing taken care of? But I'm sure Brian would come out and do a presentation. And I genuinely think that, again, the conversations that we've had, Brian would do a really good job at it. And he has a lot of experience in it too. So,
well, the thing of it is, he does have a teacher background, so he does know how to, give a presentation.
That's
and
right.
all that. But like I say, it depends on what you all want to do. And some of the things that I noticed here recently in the last couple of years is I'm sitting there and I'm looking at my nukes and I'm looking at my honey hives after the honey flow is over with. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I don't really have to touch those hives that much, except for putting some miticides on it or whatever. Let's say it's Aprivar for 6 weeks. I really don't have to look into them. And you might check them after 3 weeks and just kind of spot check them to see if everything's okay. And then where I'm constantly watching my nukes, so I don't want them to get them, overpowered with lots of brood or whatever they swarm on you.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of situations. And so I said, and then like, what was it? Where was he at now? Or the one talking about the mentor and everything.
You mean Peter Morris?
Huh?
You mean Peter Morris's comment up
Yeah,
top?
Peter's comment. I'm like, I kind of got tired of that. And I'm like, you know what? All I got to do is take the money and here's the honey and see you later. That's the end of the sale.
Okay, so I have a different approach and a different idea that I started to implement. First of all, you are 100% correct, Charlie. When you sell a nuke, there's a lot of after service that's involved with that. Most of the time when you pass off a bottle of honey, it's usually a quick spiel or somebody comes up and grabs it, here's the money, and they're gone, and you don't have to educate them any further. But here's something that will change the game just a little bit. And Melissa and I have started this last year, but we're implementing more. So if, in fact, you did want to make any videos and they were a nice watch, one of the things that you can do because like you said, people are going to be like, I need, they'll call you constantly or send you a text message or this, that, and the other. And people, let's be honest, they don't mind monopolizing your time, right? Some people will do that. Some people are very respectful. Some people are not. One of the things that you can do is if you create a few videos and put them on, if you have a channel, put them on your channel. And then what you can do is you send them links. Okay, here's the first thing you do. When you get the nuke, this is the first thing that you do. And here's a few simple practices that I recommend that you follow to help ensure success and growth within your bees. And this is what you should be looking for, a detailed video, or even you print it out and you give them handouts whenever, and this is what we did last year. You give them a handout. This is what you're going to be looking at in the first month with your nucleus colony. And this is what you should expect within reason, because we all know that the seasons can bounce around a little bit and things change. this is what you can kind of expect. But you can, again, like I said, furthermore, you can actually put out a few videos. And when people ask questions, maybe you put another video on your channel. And then when somebody's like, here, I'm going to send you a video, watch this video. Okay. And it may be a 10-minute video or a 5-minute video explaining in simple detail what they're looking for, what they should be doing moving forward. That may help to minimize, that's not going to work every time, but it may help to minimize the text messages, the phone calls, the whatever it might be. I mean, it's not going to change it 100%, but I'm telling you, you can simplify some of these processes, you know? Again, that's something that
doesn't mind the phone calls. He likes to talk to people.
Well, no, it depends, because there's times that I'm working 12 or 14 hours a day trying to get stuff done, and I can't spend an hour one-on-one with somebody that paid me $200 for a nuke. You know, I'll do my best to help people along, but at the end of the day, and we're all adults here. I'm not selling nukes to children. Okay, we're all adults. It's your responsibility. And again, I'll help to assist that, but you need to educate yourself, right?
Well, it's just like a guy, I guess it was I don't think it was this year, it was last year. Yeah, it was last year. Came in, got 2 nukes, you know, and it's summertime, you know, days are longer, and let's say it's 6 o'clock or so. And, well, I'm going to just keep them in the nuke box. I says, what are you talking about? I said, you got an hour and a half before dark. Get them damn nukes in the hive, or at least put them on top of the hive and open the door up to get them bees out of that cardboard box. So they're going to get hot and they're going to die. And I feel like, you know, I worked a lot to keep these darn bees up and running and getting them up to class A level, you know, as far as land and all this different stuff. And here you are, you could care less type of thing. Maybe that's, you know, I just feel like you're not you know, if that's the way you act, you shouldn't even have bees. You know,
you know how people are, though. I mean,
well, they are, but I feel, you know, I guess it's like I ain't going to give you my bees to kill. You know.
Well, this is the way I always tell people. I'm like, this is what I suggest. I'm like, first of all, if I sell somebody something, I'll follow up with them. I don't have any issue with that whatsoever. I figure that automatically, right? Now, helping them every single day, yeah, that'd be out of the question. If that's going to happen, you can hire me to come in and help you manage your colonies, and I'd be more than happy to do that. But I also do. Melissa and I volunteer a lot of time with the Eastern Missouri Beekeepers Association, and honestly, to be really honest with you, it actually costs us quite a bit of money in fuel. You know, I mean, I'm not counting our time and stuff like that, but back and forth, the different things that we've done or stuff that we bought for the club and, you know, things like that, you know, so, but that is our give back to the community. That is where I give my time freely back to help people out. And I always tell them, I'm like, come to these meetings. We cover everything every single month. It costs you nothing to show up to this. You'll probably get a light refreshment and something to drink. And there's a multitude of other beekeepers besides myself that I would defer to at any point in time. They're great beekeepers.
There's a free mentorship program.
Free mentorship program within the club. If you're willing to go and you're willing to show up at these meetings, maybe join the mentorship, you know, and I'm more than happy still to answer questions at that point in time. Now, if somebody wants me to come out and help them manage colonies, I will. But again, that would be a paid service that I would happily provide to them. But, you know, again, at the end of the day, people would have to show initiative as well. You know, it's not, you're not going to buy a nucleus colony.
I get it. I mean,
and expect me to come out and manage your colonies.
Right.
Sorry, that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
But
I get it. It's just,
we're always happy to help.
You know, we have, you know, hive dive live things, you know, in the summertime with our bees, and it's actually special days for people to come and, you know, show them different techniques or how to do, let's say, mite washes and stuff like that. You know, we provide all those different things, but trying to get the people, well, I can't, I got other things to do all the time. You know, that's what they all say. And, you know, it's just, it's back to like, it's like, I only want 3 hives and I don't want any nukes, and I want them to, you know, I want to put them bees in a box, walk away, and I'll look at them ever so often. And well, why did they die? Well, because you didn't take care of them. That's why. and you didn't,
Yes.
I tell people, I said, if you're going to get into beekeeping, I said, you really have to study it if you want to be, I'll say, good at it, and really, jump in with both feet. It's not something that you can just kind of like, I don't know, nonchalantly go through and stuff.
Yeah. There's a couple people that have not logged in, but come to a few different classes that Melissa and I help to teach at. And one of them is actually tomorrow for the Great Plains Master Beekeeping Program. There's two ladies particular that have been coming for and they come to some of the events that we have through the club too.
For the last year, they've been coming.
Almost for the last year. And they don't even have bees. They just come and they volunteer and they help out. And they're like, we just love this community. You guys are so great. All the things that the club does and everything that we're learning. And I'm like, you know what? You guys have it figured out. You really do. In my opinion, you guys are sitting back. You're soaking this all in. You're looking at all of our failures and all of our successes, and you're weighing those out, figuring out maybe what type of equipment that you might want to use. Maybe even a management practice, or what type of bees you want. Maybe you don't want an Italian. Maybe you want something a little more conservative, like a Carniolan or something, right? And you're figuring all this out, and you're letting everybody else make these mistakes for you, which is ingenious, really. And you're not just jumping headfirst into it. And some people do that, and they can have great success. But I think this will help to minimize any cost that you'll have, as well as some of the failures you have, by being able to immerse yourself in the community without physically having to put the expense out right up front right away. So
it's like I got a call today. It was, it turned out to be a 15-minute call or whatever about queen issues and stuff. And this couple, we've invited, I belong to multiple clubs, and now he's out of town, I'll say all week, only on the weekends home. But we said, hey, join I have us the one lady comes on the Baltimore Beekeepers Association, Lynn. We have a little sort of like a Facebook club where we do have Zoom meetings. We had one this week actually. And where we try to, and then we get together at some breweries and stuff like that, these microbreweries and stuff, and just have a kind of a social aspect of it. But it's like, well, we don't want to join. There's these folks out there that, we don't join clubs, or I don't know whether they're antisocial or just what it is. I said, but it could be so helpful. At least it's an information avenue, spend $20 for this avenue of people that you can resource from, and, or hang out or whatever, and that kind of thing. And, it's just like us right here. I mean, we're scattered across the whole United States, but yet we are collaborating with knowledge in order to better serve our individual needs in our hives and stuff. Mm-hmm. And there's some folks that just don't do that and stuff like that. But they're loners or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Hey, Joey, we didn't mean to take over your chat, man. This is your channel.
Hey, this is the way I like it. I just sit and listen.
Whatever you want to do, man. You tell us, man. This is your game here, buddy. We're just players in it.
Is that your house, Joey? Behind you?
That's my living room, my fireplace.
That's a pretty fireplace and sewing machine and stuff there.
What kind of wood is that? Is that cherry behind you?
Cherry looks like to me.
What's that?
Is that fireplace out of cherry?
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really nice wood.
Well, the stain is cherry. I don't know what the wood. I can't. The wood is red mahogany.
Okay.
Not red mahogany. Yeah.
Yeah. Honduran mahogany, probably.
Well, Charlie's the wood master here.
But me and my wife and my two boys, when they were like teenagers, built that fireplace.
Really?
That's pretty nice.
From top to bottom.
Yeah.
It's a gas fireplace.
Yeah, very nice.
And that was that sewing machine was my grandmother's
Ryan.
on my mother's side.
Yeah, my mother had one like that. It still ran. It's got the
Yeah.
cabinets on both sides and everything. Yeah,
Oh, that one needs the belt. It still works.
yeah, it's got the leather round belt that you got on there. But
And look at Brian. Look at Brian's comment down there at the bottom, Joey.
Yeah, yeah, I see that.
Stalking your house.
but yeah, I don't know. It's I think well, it's like back to me about where I'm switching up my business model, I guess you'd call it, where I'm going to be honey and more queen type of thing, which it's like anything else. You get tired of doing one thing. It don't matter what it may be, whether it's beekeeping or, farming or whatever, whatever you do,
Yeah.
race car driving or whatever. But,
well, just for reference, I wasn't trying to talk you back into doing it, Joey, or I'm sorry, Charlie. I was just trying to, just as, I don't know. You've been doing it for longer than I have. You're like, I'm just kind of burnt out on a little bit. I don't want to have to deal with the people. I completely get that. I really do. If you let them, people can wear you out, But I don't know. We were just trying to build in some different tools that will help to minimize some of that for us. And again, we thought about, a couple.
I mean, you're taking to, I know that what was it? You had 50 or 60 nukes from a guy that you had to get a tractor trailer in. You got the equipment to unload them and all that stuff. And
then
you all went out there and marked them queens yourselves. And I'm like, you know what? I'd have told them membership, guess what? You be thankful you got the bees, and we ain't marking no damn queens.
Well, yeah, but here's the way I look at it. If I have sold somebody something, and I've always been this way, I like to follow through because I'm looking for customer satisfaction. That helps satisfy me at night. I can sleep very well at night knowing that I offered somebody and gave them the product that I sold them. And if I sold them a marked queen and that's what they wanted, I'm going to work very, very hard and diligently, Melissa and I, until 8:30 at night with spotlights on our head, marking queens. If that's what you ordered from me, that's what I'm going to give you. And I'm going to work diligently to make sure that happens. Right.
Yeah, those were our nukes.
Yeah. Those were ours.
Now the ones that we went with the club also needed to be marked, and they were sold as marked queens. But we actually, for the club side, sent out an email and said, let them know what the situation was. The queens weren't marked. If they wanted the queens marked, they had to let us know by a certain date. Okay. And that's how many queens we went out there and marked.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we ended up.
Well, that was like with me. I mean, I needed my nukes this spring because of my highs going down on me, but I had pre-promised sales, and they went out the door. I mean, it was more of a wash on the money, but these folks got what they wanted. That's what they ordered. So that's what we did.
Yeah.
But no, I just, changing up differently. I'm downsizing to where it's like, like today I went out there and it was 20, 23, 24 hives. You're filling up top hive feeders and stuff, which wasn't bad because I got a pump and everything, but that takes so much time to do all that. And when you have 34 of them, it's more sugar, more processing, more filling. And it's like, it's like I need to cut back to where, it's a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah. And that makes perfect sense to me too. I mean, I think that recognizing that, Charlie, that's pretty key. You want to keep it as a hobby and you want it to be enjoyable. And you start to
hobby that pays for itself. And then actually, people talk about, like I was telling you about the guy complaining about the money going to Nobby and all that. And I'm like, hey, my bees pay for all that stuff. I make enough money to pay for all my input costs, and I have a small, a pretty good size profit. And, it's like, what was it? Yeah, Brian was saying from out there in Flower Street, that's his winter vacation. And that's the same way I feel about it.
Yeah.
My bees pay for all my stuff too. The thing is, my 2025 bees don't know that yet.
They'll figure it out, won't they, Joey?
Yeah, they got to help pay for the stuff I've already bought this year.
Hey, and I'll tell you even with 20 hives, Charlie, like you just said, that is more than doable. If you can manage correctly and figure out how to pull the maximum amount of profit out of each one of those hives, completely doable. I mean,
Well,
Brian's doing it with 70 hives,
Yeah.
you know?
I was like, one of our online beekeepers was stating to me, you know, you got less than half the amount of hives and you're making twice as the amount of honey that what that person made. And I'm like, well, you know, they talk about I'm doing the Demery thing, you know, where I'm going in there every week or whatever and switching the brood around. And I bought the hive lifter because of all that kind of stuff to make it easier for me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to get those individual hives to maximize my honey production as much as I can possibly get. My nukes this past year, and I forget how many nukes I had out there after I had sold them and then requeen, and they're building back up. And I have 5 frame queen excluders. And I threw the 5-way queen excluders on them because the honey flows are coming in, and I'm putting honey supers on my nukes. And I got something like, what was it? 26 medium boxes of honey off of nukes. And there was some nukes that didn't get a queen excluder or whatever. And I'm like, this year, well, now I'm down to between 8 and 12 nukes. I'm like, you know what? Every hive is this year. My plan is every hive gets a queen excluder and everybody gets a honey super. And I've had some of them nukes had at least 3. I had 15 frames of honey off of one nuke. People don't think about that. You know?
I mean, all you're doing instead of doing this and going up, you're just going up, right?
Yeah. Up like a darn bunch of skyscrapers.
There you go.
And then I ratchet strap them because they, you know, I've had issues one time where we had a storm and it blew it over like a bunch of dominoes.
Yeah.
Luckily, my racks only hold 4 hives, and then there's a space. So I had like 3 of them went bang, 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 bang.
Didn't you post a picture of that? I think.
Huh?
You posted a picture of that, didn't you?
I don't know. That's before I ever got on YouTube and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Like
I'm sorry. It must have been somebody else.
I'll tell you one thing.
Last year.
You went into those hives, and these were mean. And I got one nuke put back together, and I had to walk away and keep smoking the air around me until they finally calmed down and wait for the rest of the bees to kind of get themselves back together and go back into the one hive. And then I'd go in and do one more hive and then walk away and do another one. And finally, you know, they were back into what they call home.
Yeah.
So
how long do you want to go on here tonight, Joey? You tell us.
I was just about to tell y'all, we are at 3 hours and 37 minutes.
Yeah, we only got 3 more hours to go. Beat me.
I'm going to get here pretty soon because I'm going to go to church tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm tired. So
I was just going to ask Philip when Philip said this right here, you need that new bee squeezer, Joey. I just kind of pictured little tiny milkers. I don't know why.
I don't know what he's talking bee squeezer. I'm not sure what he's talking about.
Yeah. Philip, if you're on here to clarify, I didn't know what that meant either. I thought maybe that was an inside joke to you, Joey.
It might have been. He'll probably have to remind me what he's talking about.
Yep. I hear you.
I think I'm going to go ahead and shut the chat down since we've been 3.5 hours. I appreciate everybody coming in and getting involved in the chat. It turned out to be a pretty good one. We kind of gave Cayman Reynolds a little run for his money, didn't we?
I think so, right? Absolutely.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing with him, he's answering so many beginner type beekeeping questions, and you know, we're kind of like I say, we're beyond that, you know.
Yeah.
So,
all right, I'm gonna go ahead and shut the chat down. Good night, everybody.
all right, we'll see y'all later.
See ya.